I was joking that I would not do a presentation tonight. I think everyone
What?
knows me better than
We
that.
love your presentation. You can't fool us.
There's that sarcasm.
All right. So the item on the I guess before you tonight is a contract with Parametrics for engineering services for the Viewridge Safe School Phase 2 project. This was discussed in the Public Committee on 17th of February. Agenda next week. So just a quick overview to get your bearings. This is a continuation of what we just recently talked about for phase 1 with kind of the pivot and scope there with the new school construction. The scope is going to be consistent with phase 1. I've sketched out a little section there kind of showing the constrained or the consolidated roadway section with the wide 11-foot wide shared use path on the east side of the roadway and new sidewalk on the west side. So once this project is in place with phase 1, that'll represent nearly a mile of new active transportation facilities serving the East Bremerton area, surrounding areas. The project is fully funded, and again, WashDOT's been a great partner, so nearly $6 million in state grant funding has been awarded to support the project. So that's wonderful news. These are just some representative photos. I know everyone's very familiar with the corridor. You know, kind of a varied section. The southern section, more of a narrow, rural type roadway, and then I think the northern sections we all know with the Blue Ridge Apartments, much wider pavement section there, and some front improvements made by the development there on the apartments. So Parametrics was selected as the most qualified firm. We had 3 firms submit. 2 of those were qualified. Parametrics was the highest scored firm out of the 2 that were interviewed. We've spent a lot of time negotiating a comprehensive scope work with them for the project. Kind of bullet pointed some of those in the presentation. I think a copy of the contract in the packet. Their total contract amount has been negotiated at $940,000, $940,737. And that includes engineering services through the end of construction. So we have been very cognizant of making sure that their contracts are inclusive of all the engineering services through the construction phase. And probably the most important thing is this contract is 100% grant eligible. So with this state grant, we do not have a local match. So every dollar of this contract will get submitted for reimbursement from the state. Just a quick update. We recently mailed out over 700 postcards to residents and businesses in the area, just giving them an update on both of the Viewridge project with information on the schedule. Obviously, the phase 1 schedule has shifted a little bit in scope. Also to inform them of the upcoming design for phase 2 and upcoming community meetings to be scheduled later this spring to share some of the early concepts. Of course, we're going to continue to share information with the public through the design process, keep our coordination with Bremerton schools. Obviously, Transit is a big stakeholder on this project with Almira-Viewridge being on a fixed bus route, and of course the county, since the project limits intersect Rydell Road, which the county currently has plans for either a future traffic signal or a roundabout. So we're going to be working with the county, and part of our contract is to study that intersection and kind of determine and make sure that whatever that recommendation is, this project is as forward compatible as possible. Just from a budget standpoint, really what I'm trying to reflect here is the local revenues and the WashDOT grant. So you can see the 3 phases of capital projects that you look at: preliminary engineering, right-of-way construction. You can see that all the local revenues come into play during construction, and that local revenue cost is intended to cover what we included as a match, quote unquote match, at the time of grant application to make our application competitive. It also includes anticipated cost for some minor utility improvements, and some of the paving improvements that we're hoping to potentially reduce cost on through some geotechnical analysis of the existing road out there. I know we've got a lot of complaints about potholes and pavement condition on Almira, so that's an area we'll be looking at, but unfortunately, some of that may not be covered by the grant that was and then this slide shows a kind of a high level schedule. That first line shows the anticipated construction for phase one happening during 2027. So you can see with the approval of this contract this month, we'll be working to expedite some concept designs and get in front of the community as soon as possible. There's going to be a lot of work, as typical for this type of project, to get through the final design permitting phase. We anticipate a little bit of right-of-way may be needed for temporary construction easements, things like that, similar to what we have in phase one. And we're targeting the end of 2027 to start the bid phase on this project, which hopefully, fingers crossed, aligns perfectly. So the construction from phase one will roll right into phase two. And then this is just a reminder to the public that you can get project information by going to our project website and on transportation projects and going to the phase two project. So with that, I will stop sharing and answer any questions.
I go to the chair of Public Works Committee.
Safe Routes to School program is just so great. And I heard just today, I think, that the transportation budget passed. And they've doubled the Safe Routes to School funding for this year. I don't know where it's going after this year. But maybe I don't know you probably told me what our plans are for this year, and it's not related to this. And I've forgotten that, boy, let's keep taking advantage of those Safe Routes to School projects. And I really hope that the county decides to select, is it Pinecrest?
Yeah.
Pinecrest,
Yeah.
Because that would be the perfect opportunity for the county to do something that feels so good for the community at the same time that we're trying to get some solutions for Pine Road down in our area. Wouldn't it be great, as long as we're working on the Almira project with the county and we're singing Kumbaya, we can just roll that into the Pine Road and get us Safe Routes to School for Pinecrest, not our school district, not our purview, but just in case Katie Walters is listening, that'd be great.
I like the plug.
So excited about the upcoming community meeting, and it just feels like it's been going well, and I haven't been aware of too many stumbling points, and you've negotiated those very well. For those listening, when the school, unveiled its plans to build the new Viewridge, our plans were we had to take a look and say, whoa, they're moving the school. And they were busy on that, and we were trying to meet. And so it took a while, but you did a great job, it seems to me, in a pretty short amount of time, reworking this plan to fit a completely different plan for the school. I would love at some point when this is all over to combine the school district investment in Viewridge, which will be many millions of dollars, and then the city's investment in infrastructure along there, which has been mighty as well. So maybe we can get that down the road.
Yeah, I'm envisioning, some sort of ribbon cutting at some point.
Yeah. And again, anybody else? I'm just going to sing praises.
Is anybody else from Public Works Committee?
Yeah, thank you.
It would be really great to have phase two happen at Crown Hills Elementary in District 6. But moving right along, there were a couple of things that came up during the Public Works Committee hearing, and one of them was that this particular contract with Parametric has a do not exceed clause. Do I have that correct?
Yes, so we are utilizing our city standard professional services agreement. I want to make sure it's clear that when we say not to exceed, so we define a specific scope of deliverable, right? So The budget is the budget estimate at the time. Obviously, we go through, I mean, rounds and rounds of negotiations with consultants. So the not to exceed amount basically says that the contractor cannot exceed that budget amount based on the scope and deliverables. If some unforeseen condition comes up, say we didn't know there was this major pipeline or something, and we need to design around it, we need to bring in specialty services. Okay, so that's not the scope. So that's when we would, number one, look at what we incorporated management reserve funds in our contract. That's our contingency. So that's
20%.
small percentage. So it reduces the administrative burden of having to come to council for small stuff we know is going to happen likely during the design of the project. So if that amount is exceeded and it's out of, we determine that it's out of scope, then we would be coming back to council, or depending on the amount, depending on the mayor's authorization amounts, we would determine at that point if the change in scope constitutes something to increase the contract amount. So, but yes, not to exceed. So if the consultant busted their budget and it takes them twice as long to deliver what they said they're going to deliver, well, they're going to have a write-off the end of the project, right?
Okay. Thank you. I said that for the rest of council and for the public, because I think that's a very useful clause. And my final question is, you mentioned the scoring. Is that, if I ask you what is the scoring, is that a long answer that will make this a long meeting?
So when you say what is the scoring, so
you scored the different responses to the request for bids.
Correct. So we have a two-step process. So we put out a request for qualifications, and then we review. Well, first of all, we make sure that the submitted statements of qualification meet our criteria. All of the three that submitted met the criteria. So we then score. We have a team of evaluators. We independently score those, and from that point, we determine a shortlist for interviews. And then we bring the shortlisted firms in for interviews. Similar scoring methodology. We have the same evaluation team score those independently and come up with a selection based on the interviews and shortlisted firms. So in this case, the scores were based on that process, and Parametrics had the high score at the shortlist.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Council President. Jennifer, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I'm coming in new, and I'm sorry that I didn't ask these questions during Public Works, but can you remind me of the public outreach process for this? As far as I'm sorry, let me be specific, the neighbors that are affected. So the driveways, all the impacts to the actual neighbors that are going to be had during the process of this.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So typically, so for phase, I can talk about
phase 3, I guess.
Phase 2, and then kind of what we've done for phase 1. So
Okay.
For phase 2, for this contract, we're in a situation where we're not asking the community visioning what this project's going to look like. We did a lot of that visioning through early planning process. We had multiple open houses for phase 1, which touched on this phase 2, knowing it was going to be a future project.
Mm-hmm.
So the community was invited to provide input on that. So our approach is to focus the early outreach and input on specifics to phase 2, whether that's traffic calming features. There's parking that's going to be impacted. There's some of the residents, specifically on the south half of phase 2, that park along the street.
Yeah.
So, similar to phase 1, that was an area that we worked and said, okay, well, maybe we can, we've got only so much right of way. We know we have to fit these components into the project. So maybe there's opportunities to carve out a little bit of on-street parking. We like parking because it's a visual feature. It slows traffic. I didn't mention the quick build traffic calming. So from what I understand, that is something that is sounds like it's going to move forward. I think we're working on a communication plan. So, potentially there's messaging with this upcoming outreach as far as, that interim quick build traffic calming, evaluating how that's going to work. And then based on that input, that's going to kind of help us reframe the design. There's not going to be a whole lot of input until we start getting to right-of-way type needs. So property owners that will need access for driveway regrading, things like that. That's a whole separate process.
Right.
We follow, regulations as far as notification to the property owners. We just, for instance, on phase one, we had a property owner, non-English speaking property owner. So we're working with a translator, meeting with them, trying to help them understand what we're doing with the project, what to expect during construction. And then as we get closer to construction, I always like to have some sort of dialogue with the community as far as what to expect during construction. So that's something I anticipate for phase one to happen, especially with the impacts of transit on this corridor. So a lot of the residents in that area heavily rely on transit, and unfortunately, it's going to be a real challenge to have kids at transit keep their buses operating on that roadway during construction.
Well, there's Petersville's right parallel, which I see are there any streets that don't connect to Petersville on the one side? And then we have Maple, Hollis to Maple. So, how come kids have transit can go to Petersville?
So that's part of the discussion with, they have probably their own process for determining
Okay.
ultimate
All right.
routing.
Sorry.
But it's our job, in addition to kids at transit, to make sure the residents know what to expect. I don't
Thank
like
you.
to sugarcoat that it's going to be a nice, clean construction project because
No.
it's tearing up the entire roadway. So there's going to be some inconveniences. I like to set that expectation early, understand what, maybe different folks may have concerns about, and then address those continuously during construction.
Will the floating bicycle lane make sense after this is completed?
Floating bicycle lane.
The green floating bicycle lane by this, you know what I'm talking about.
Green floating bicycle.
There's-
Floating bicycle lane.
Yeah, over on Rydell, that little chunk
Oh,
that's
oh,
not
yes.
complete. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Will it be a little bit more contiguous? That's the county's deal, but anyway, I see it maybe making a little more sense if it's coming
No,
on.
that's
that
our
way.
deal.
Yeah, so
Oh,
That's our deal.
it's-
That's our side.
Oh, it is.
that,
Okay, all right.
that goes in the whole discussion of
Yeah.
what is the intersection of
Yeah.
Almira and Rydell going to look like. Potentially,
It's a game changer.
there is a off ramp for bikes to get onto the sidewalk on Rydell
Mhm.
and have some sort of connection to the shared use path on Almira. There's some really weird property constraints. You've got a house that has a driveway right up against the intersection.
Yeah.
There's some design challenges that we'll just have to
Okay.
kind of figure out.
And I will ask more questions later on in the game. Thank you I really just want to make sure that there's a plan for before we get too far down the line, that neighbors are actually aware of what's happening in their neighborhood. I think everybody's connected by an alleyway or by Petersville but I just don't want anybody to be surprised that they're blocked in yeah. All right. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Just as a follow-up.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the question because as you know, there are a lot of people with disabilities that live right in that area. And those bus stops are full, of people with canes or in wheelchairs. So getting them up to Petersville, transit will work it out, I'm sure, but high need area there.
And we'll have to work with the businesses. Tamarack Apartments, that's housing
Yeah.
authority. So we need to make sure that, not only it's hard for us to communicate to an entire apartment complex. So we're heavily going to rely on their management to make sure that,
Good.
they're getting the messages to their residents.
Okay, Rick.
Okay. So I drove this today. I drove Almira.
Oh, great.
And from Riddell to about Ivy, that's a good road. There are sidewalks.
On one side.
Mhm.
Hey.
Nevertheless, there are sidewalks.
Right. Yes.
And I also don't know why we say that's that's part of what I would call the circle as far as a safe route to school. Those kids are riding school buses. They're not walking or bicycling. My question has to do with if we don't do phase two, how much money gets returned to the general fund?
If we don't do phase two, let's see, we have in the CIP, $647,000 in stormwater utility tax revenue, $205,000 in REIT,
Project location.
and, we've got $600,000 in stormwater capital fund and $170,000 in the wastewater capital fund. So that's the non-grant revenues currently budgeted in the CIP.
And would we ever get another safe routes to school?
Yeah, that's-
Well,
Split
I
it.
would,
Wait, now I still have the floor. okay?
Yes, you do.
All I'm saying is from Ivy to View Ridge, I agree that circle, that whatever you want to call it, I agree. But Elmira could use some speed tables or some whatever you call them, because it is a bit of a raceway, similar to what the county has done across the street in front of Kitsap Mental Health. But that's $1 million. We at some point have to quite decide where we're going to get money back to the general fund for police officers, for support of homeless, and those sorts of things. So I'm a no on this. So if you're going to put it on the consent agenda,
Well, wait a minute, let him
All right.
finish.
so we've got to look for opportunities to put more money back in the city's coffers. And like I said, I drove Elmira today. Elmira is a beautiful road. It's got sidewalks. It looks like it was resurfaced not too long ago. And the homes on what would be the west side, there are some homes along there. And then the next street up is Petersville, which is in the county. So, council member Mockler talked about safe routes around Crown Hill. I could talk about safe routes around Kitsap Lake. But I'm just saying that is this something that we really need to do? If it could return $1 million back to our.
Now, I'd like him to repeat those
Okay.
numbers because those weren't all general fund money.
Correct.
correct, yeah, so, stormwater utility tax, I'm assuming is that general fund? Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah,
The utility tax and the REIT.
So that's,
And are we doing any utility work while we're at the street torn up and stuff?
Plus with the other utility, like
Yeah.
the stormwater. And the
Yeah.
water.
So that's $850,000 in general fund revenues budgeted right now. So, as I mentioned,
It's like
part of
did
this
benefit
design
from the heights,
process
just-
is
I would
looking
like
to try to minimize, if we don't need to do a full reconstruction of the pavement. We want to know what those opportunities are. Obviously, we're changing the cross section of the roadway, so it's not, there may not be an opportunity to pave. The other thing I just want to mention is, we have applied for, accepted, and we have already received funding obligations from WashDOT. So, not pursuing this project at this point, would be a major, red mark for the city, for grant funding. And I worry, not only do we have to basically pay back everything that's been reimbursed by WashDOT today, but it would probably, I would say probably hurt our chances in future, applications from the state.
Okay, again, the way you're characterizing, we really haven't done anything on phase two yet, correct?
Other than the staff time and expenses that we've had.
So we're not giving back, if we were to give money back, it would only be for phase two. I'm not against phase one.
Correct, I'm away, yeah, only phase two. Correct.
Okay, phase one, I think is something
It's my
that
turn.
is important. And when I drove through there, like I said, those streets, there are potholes and whatnot, which you said the project doesn't fill the potholes. So there's other things in that area that, and it's not that I'm not against safe routes to school. Okay, don't characterize it that way. I'm looking for money for our city. We are a poor city. We have priorities that.
They don't bus less than a mile.
Wait, please.
Look it up.
I know that,
Okay.
Jennifer, but that's almost 2 miles.
Counselor Tift has.
I have the floor. I checked that too. From Ivy to the end of Riddell, from View Ridge to Ivy is about a mile. Agreed. That's why that circle, if you draw a line around View Ridge 1 mile out, it does encompass Ivy. But beyond Ivy is more than a mile. And so those are kids that are riding the bus. And again, I don't want to characterize as I'm against safe routes to school. I'm not. I'm trying to find money for the other priorities that we have in this city. And so that's my point. And, you know, we had to give some money back, so be it.
Okay,
So anyway, that's my comment.
Michael?
Just quick, I understand both sides. I support this project, but this is also a situation where we take a dollar here. I'll use examples. We take $1.62 and we get $5.90 out of it, right? So that's like really smart, and we're accomplishing, you know, safety. We're maybe doing some upgrades to the street infrastructure, the utilities and things like that. So we're giving up literally more money than we're recouping. But I do understand what you're saying, but I'm a big fan of safe routes to school. Thank you.
Okay, so my turn. Number one, and this has got nothing to do with what other people have said. I want to encourage you that while this is under construction or prior to it being under construction, the cross streets that are going to be getting a lot more traffic because the road is closed, right? Because you're rebuilding it, that you consider putting some temporary traffic control on that so we don't have the same situation that neighbors had off of 6th Street when there's long-term detours. A lot of people are still cutting through. So that's one thing. Second thing is we're supposed to be getting another 25,000 people living in this town, and they're not all going to be driving cars, especially in that neighborhood. There's lots of people who don't have cars to drive. They're going to be walking, riding a bike, taking a bus, and that is the main route to get to kids that mental health. Right now, people aren't even allowed to cross the street at Rydell because there's no safe crossing for them. So we have to make this a city for everybody. And Michael's right. We're spending far less than we're getting back in grant funding. So I fully support this. And it's Safe Routes to School, which is the name of the grant, but it's safe routes for so many other people that, I mean, we can't just rely on everybody driving a nice new car. It's not going to happen. Jennifer?
It's 1.1 miles. I don't know what, I need you to look that up again so you come in with accurate. What I got is 1.1 miles. So,
Point of order, Council
Yeah.
President. Can we do the whole courtesy, decorum, and respect thing, please?
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, and I've been on school buses. I was a paraeducator for a little while on school buses and worked for the school district. And so I'm well aware of like, they will bus preschoolers and in some cases. But it's 1.1 miles. So I think most of it is covered by the unbused section.
Okay, it's your turn. Go ahead, Denise.
I'm concerned ongoing about the challenges to council decisions that have already been made. Council decisions that have already been made and directions that we're already moving in. Pushing back against a future project, fine, but trying to stop a project that has been promised to our constituents who have been, and driving Almira once does not make you an expert, does not make one an expert. I know my district. It's a runway at Almira. It's way too wide. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons that the city is deciding to do something about it, is because people go up to 80, 90 miles an hour when they come up Rydell and they make that right. Mm-hmm. That's not safe. The county is concerned about it enough where I think we can make something happen at that intersection at Rydell and Almira, and maybe the county will take it all the way up to Tucson, I hope. You know, we're trying to save pennies when the impact to our community is in the millions. And we have been doing this for far too long. We've got to get better vision, people. You've got to see how things are connected. You take one little domino out of that thing and it'll all fall apart. So this, to me, we've accepted this, and to have to defend these decisions over and over again, I think that there's a lack of respect that's being shown to council and its previous decisions that weren't that long ago.
Well, Council President, when you have a minute, I have my.
We already
hand up.
voted on all this,
Okay, well,
not on the construction, not on the consulting.
people who are newly on the council still have the right to give their opinions. And they may not agree with opinions that former councils had. And, you know, we still have to listen to what they have to say. You don't have to
disrespectful.
Okay, but they do have the right to state what their opinions are, just because they weren't on council last year or 4 years ago when this all started moving. So I think Anna's next, and then you, Rick.
Right. Had you finished?
Yeah.
So I originally raised my hand some millennia ago to say I'm on the Kitsap Transit Board. Can I be of use in bringing this up? This is my first of two questions, or three.
Well, that's a statement.
Okay. Well, let's go to move on to a question. Can I be of use in letting the board and management of Kitsap Transit know that extraordinary measures will be needed down the line?
I don't think that will hurt. I will say publicly that, the relationship that we have with Kitsap Transit on these capital projects is great. They're great to work with. They're very responsive. I think they do a great job of pivoting, because during construction things happen, and they're very forgiving when they have to pivot. So I appreciate that, and yeah, maybe we can find.
Well, I will email you, and we'll do that offline. And hey, it can't hurt to bring it up in front of the 3 county commissioners. My next question, which is actually a statement. So Rick, I was a brash new counselor once myself, and if you look to your left at Michael Goodnow, you will see there are still lines carved in his brow from my well, fair enough. From my first few months here, because it's really difficult to understand what you can do in the scope of things. It really is. I have actual sincere sympathy with you on this one. And I think everybody at this table agrees that, like, we have to find money somewhere. Looking down when we walk has not been working out for us, as a way to find money. I would also say that Kitsap Lake Elementary School is the only school in Bremerton, to my knowledge, that has had a phase 2 completed. So when you're saying that Kitsap Lake would like money, it's hard for us almost done. It's hard for us to sympathize with you on that one, because Kitsap Lake Elementary is a gold-plated project. It's extensive. If anybody has driven that, I've driven it more than once, even though it is not my district. It is beautiful. I don't know what more to say to you, except to say that I think that if we can try to figure out, and here I mean all of us, all 7 of us, if we can try to figure out, when I came on, there were 5 new counselors in what, 2 months, Michael? Yeah.
How did we make it through?
Yeah. So we were all just like kind of going, wow. So please forgive us if we get, oh, we've been doing this like, not you, Denise, but I am a hair
Right there.
flipper. Oh, we've been doing this like so long. Because we're trying not to do that. But it's also true that there was such chaos when 5 of us came on within, was it 2 months, Michael? Am I right? Yeah. That
You were a little late.
We kept your seat warm. Waiting for you.
Okay, let's.
Can we
Finish
just
the-
pause for a minute? And
Can we
just
finish?
to say, I don't think anybody here is disrespecting what you say. Okay, that's it. Hold on.
Okay, Rick,
If, I guess I'm puzzled, if this is a done deal, why is it on our agenda? If phase 2 is a done deal, why is it on our agenda? And if that's the case, then I'll sit back down. And I do agree, and as far as my experience with Almira, I grew up over there, so I do have a lot of experience with Riddell and Almira.
How long ago was that?
I lived 50 years on, so,
okay, let's.
but my point is, when I drove Almira most recently, I agree that there needs to be some traffic. I agree that there needs to be, whether there's speed tables or something to slow that down, because you are right. It is a good road. They could easily, you could get 50, 60 miles an hour on there, no sweat. So this project isn't going to slow traffic. It's going to put sidewalks on either side from what I saw. And yeah, that'll slow traffic because it'll narrow the roadway. But I still think there's probably some need for, and I'm getting off track. My point is, if it's on here and we decide and there's money that could go back to the general fund, that's all I want to know. If it's a done deal and you've already made the decision and
That's why it's called phase 2, because we were talking about it as one big project. And they couldn't do the whole thing at once. So it was phase 1 and phase 2. And so, yeah, there's been a lot of discussions about it, and it goes together, and they have,
supportive of phase 1. That,
well, that's not what we're talking about tonight. Tonight is contract for phase 2. Yes.
I
Nick?
just want to be clear that the general fund money is, it's in the CIP, which is our financial plan for the project. It's in 2027 and 2028. This is a financial plan. So there may be other grant opportunities
Right.
that present themselves between now and then. We just had a great conversation with the Transportation Improvement Board. They're increasing their budget for the complete streets program. So
Oh, yeah.
I just want to caveat that, we're always going after grants, and the way things have been, it's kind of uncertain with grants and different agencies and what the, different funding pots are going to be. But I just wanted to caveat that general fund money is an out year budget, and that, we're, if the grant presents itself, we're always going to find opportunities to offset that.
Can I,
Yeah, Jennifer, go ahead. Thank
I
you,
just,
Nick.
this is a great time to ask all the questions, and I really appreciate that you're trying to be fiscally responsible and bring money back into the general fund. I think, is my understanding correct? We've already approved that phase 1, 2, and 3 will happen. What we're doing at this point in time is approving the contract for phase 2. So when you're out, yes, we can kill it. We can kill the whole thing. What a waste of taxpayer dollars that would be for phase 1. But I feel like, again, I don't think you have consensus, and I'd like to move forward. If you want it on the general, it's fine, but I'd like to see it on consent to move forward. But whatever y'all think is right, I'd like to move forward.
Well, does anybody else have any comments on this? No. Okay, so do we want it on consent or on general?
Consent.
I want hands. I personally want it on consent.
Consent. But it only takes one
So-
counselor.
It takes one to put it
Right.
on general.
But then it takes 2 to put it back on consent, right?
Mhm.
Yep. So if you want to put on general, Denise, I'd like to see it on consent. Yep.
I mean,
What-
we can
oh, is there a
have it
protocol?
on.
well,
I think Kylie's reviewing that. Hold on. Oh, okay.
Pretty sure it's in the rules and procedures.
It is.
I was gonna say, don't we all have a copy?
Yes, we all have a copy.
Why, as a matter of
Okay,
fact.
so here's something I'd
Maybe
like
he
to
doesn't
bring up.
even want, maybe we're putting
Go ahead
words.
and put it in consent, but I want you to understand that I'm gonna continue to do this. I'm gonna continue to search for money in our budget
Mhm.
and try to seek to understand where we are in many of these things. Because we're gonna talk later in tonight about some of the other challenges facing our city. And, you know, any nickel, any dime, any penny that we can recoup is important to me. And that's what we, in my opinion, that's what we need to be doing. So fine, put it on consent, not.
I mean, we can have it on general. If we have it on general, all that means is Nick has to come again to the council meeting next week
Great presentation.
PowerPoint it up.
and PowerPoint it
Yeah.
up. I mean, that's the difference between it being on
There'll be a
general
lot of
or,
people that would show up in support of it.
yes, there would.
Yeah.
Michael?
It's fine, put it on consent. I'm happy with it.
So, like, where I kind of sit with this, a project like this comes down to my values, right? And that's really all I can bring to this table. And, you know, hopefully my values are out there. Folks vote for me because I'm the only choice this time, but. And I just, so, you know, it's just, you know, getting kids in neighborhoods and getting to school and, you know, like, it's almost getting rarer and rarer anyways. You create these great communities around what's going to be a new school and things like that. It just really seems like delivering the total package for the students. And, but I really appreciate, what you're trying to do. And maybe there's just a way that there's a safe word. And you see something, muskrat or something, and
It's all multimodal.
we'll know that we can look deeper into something. But for me, it's just, again, it's for students, it's for the, you know, the school area, helps connect that bigger residential neighborhood to the, not just to the schools, to the library, to the Boys and Girls Club, to, you know, the gym that's there, even to the market that's there and things like that.
Groceries the other way too.
It's like, it's a very weird area right
Much
now.
appreciated.
I think this
Is that yours?
Is just important stuff.
Okay, thank you, Patty.
Okay, so how should we treat this?
Consent.
I think we have consent.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nick.
Well, the new people get them twice because you have to read them twice.
I was gonna say,
I
I
know, I think-
four.
Here.
I think you have,
There were extra copies made.
Okay, when Patty.
You only get one.
She
Okay.
gave them all to her.
4 of them, and I'm like, where's the-
nobody really wants you to read.
Always liked her.
Here, we'll just take
Okay.
it there. No,
Okay.
you feel better.
Oh, I just felt
Let's
sick.
welcome Managing Engineer Bill Davis here to present item A4.
Ooh, I hope you're ready.
Get that seat warmed up.
This should be much shorter.
Why is that chair so low?
Let us be full of hope, Bill.
Yeah, that is the worst chair.
Short chair.
Yeah.
You have a short chair?
It's like a power move we do.
It's fine for me.
Okay.
That's supposed to be the mayor's.
We do that. We switched the mayor's chair out for the short one. It's true. It's a power move.
That always comments in the conference room when the chairs are short, like Bill does. But
Yeah, I watch him come into the conference room and the first thing he does is drop bottom the chair. And then I come and sit in that chair and I'm like, my knees are around me.
It's an uncomfortable time when you haven't landed yet in the chair.
Is this like a special high wind council meeting?
Well, it sure is.
Okay, Magic 8 Ball said this meeting would be over early, so let's move on.
I like your,
Good evening,
I like.
Bremerton City Council.
Please try again later.
Hi, Bill.
Whew.
I'm here to talk about the ordinance to adopt the City of Bremerton wastewater comprehensive plan update that was finalized in November 2025. And just for a little bit of background for those that are new to council, this process of developing the plan started in late 2023. We hired a consultant, Kennedy Jenks, and after multiple project managers on their end, we ended up finally getting to a draft in February 2025. And at that time, I did a presentation study session as well as city council. We had an open comment period at the time. There was also an opportunity for the public to comment on the city website. We sent out information on the city Public Works Facebook page, and then Bremerton Beat or Blast, I think. And then over the next year or so, we went through a back and forth process with the Department of Ecology, addressing their comments and issues. They had 90 days to review the comprehensive this plan. So we finally got to the finish line. We also went through a SEPA review process, and we got to the finish line in November of this past year. And the RCW required that it be adopted via ordinance by the agency, the sewer agency, which is the city of Bremerton. So we prepared this ordinance for you to look at, and then to adopt it. And just to give you also, just generally speaking, the wastewater treatment, the general sewer plan, it talks about the system, provides a financial plan for improvements over a 20-year period, how we maintain the system. So it's a guidance document that we use for the sewer system, and it also describes projects in detail. In some of those projects, so we don't have to go back to ecology again to get approval for engineering plans for every single project we do. So that is the adoption process in a nutshell. Any questions?
Public Works Chair, do you have any questions?
Yeah.
All right, Jennifer. Anybody else on?
Yeah.
Okay, if Anna's
were
happy with it,
We
I'm
were
happy.
waiting on ecology, I think.
Again, that was my only question. Is this a normal turnaround time for ecology?
They have 90 days to review
Okay.
it. So yes,
They usually use 89.5.
they did. The person that was reviewing it went out on maternity leave, and it just took longer.
Well,
So-
congratulations to that
Yeah.
person.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations to
Yeah,
you.
I just want to know if there's any, I don't know, it's like significant pieces, things that are going to be in the future that we are tracking that was significantly different from the last one. Anything that we sent up that we were like, hopefully ecology will
Yeah.
give us a thumbs up, and they did. Any just highlights or thoughts you could share?
There were no substantial changes that ecology made. They sent us a spreadsheet, and there were 50 or so changes that they had, but they were, for the most part, pretty germane,
Yeah.
consequential.
But that, I guess, how is this plan different than our last approved plan?
One of the things that Kennedy Jenks did was they prepared what was called a business risk vulnerability assessment. We went through a week-long workshop with them, the engineering staff as well as the operations staff, and they put together, they evaluated all of our major assets, and we ranked them looking at various criteria. What would happen if this electrical system failed? What would be the impact to the city? And then ranking it on a scale of 1 to 5, looking at how critical that was. So input from the city staff, both operations and engineering. And then we ended up developing a heat matrix showing, that's the most severe, right? They're the red in the corner. Like if this fails, if our siphons that cross underneath Fort Washington Narrows fail,
Yeah.
that's a big problem. Or if our electrical systems at the treatment plant fail, that's a big problem. So I think that was a real benefit, and it's helped us prioritize our projects in the next 20 years and put those into the CIP and ensure that they're funded.
Anybody else have any questions?
I did have one, and I'm so
Okay.
sorry. I was in a group earlier, last week, in which people from the county came in and were talking about how many combined stormwater, wastewater,
Like
City of
CSO
Bremerton has.
outfalls.
It's not just outfalls, but it's like infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yes, and I like a mad woman, I was emailing the works director first, who?
He's the expert.
And who was telling me how it's in here in this short description, but how assiduously and carefully over the years he has been working to resolve that. Piece by piece, inch by inch, step by step, and has made major strides with no song and dance about it. So I feel like when there's no song and dance, I should do a little song and dance.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we spent $50 million performing upgrades over almost 20 years to
Yeah,
prevent overflows, to minimize them.
yeah. Well, well done, you guys.
A lot of pressure.
Anyway, I appreciate all the work that you've done on this, and how should we treat this item?
Consent.
General business.
What?
Consent.
And Bill, this is available online for the public to look at, correct?
It's,
Or
right now it's not. Historically it was, but we can get it on the project website. We can put it on and you can email me and I can email you the PDFs of these documents.
I'm sorry.
I don't want the PDFs, but there might be some people in the public who are interested in certain portions of it.
I will make sure that's
Okay, that's great.
Before Wednesday, is that possible?
before next Wednesday. Yes. We can get that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think I violated protocol there.
You're forgiven.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Council President, before we move on to the thrilling agenda item 5, review of council rules and procedures, I would like to run down to my vehicle and get some leave. I will be right back.
Sure, why don't we take a break until 6:15?
You have?
6:15. We should probably take, it's already been called. I heard her say it.
Yep.
6:15. We'll be back.
Okay.
We'll get our,
Well,
and then
I
I
will-
think we'll be ready for the next.
I will take a break and have leave.
Okay, we'll be back at 6:15.
Okay.
I call the meeting back to order. Okay, I'm going to kick off the discussion on item 8.5 by clarifying that while there's several areas within the council rules and procedure that may warrant revisiting, tonight's discussion will be focused specifically on rule number 9, item 10, 2, related to public comment, and item 3, related to public recognition. In addition to the rules and procedures, staff is working on updates to other materials that will guide council meetings and actions. Pardon me. Once we've completed tonight's discussion, we will need to determine how the council would like to proceed with reviewing the remaining items. We could schedule a dedicated study session to address all of them at once, or take a more incremental approach and review sections over the next several study sessions. I'd like a vote on that. Do you want to do it all at once or something a little bit at every study session?
I'd like to propose an amendment.
An amendment to what?
To your proposal,
Okay,
which is we do it for a half an hour, and if we're making headway, that we then look at it again.
a half hour? Well, what if we're in the middle of something?
Yeah, then we would say, then we would
Okay.
take.
Yep.
Kind of, yeah, the other one felt like.
We might be in more agreement than we think.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to push it down the road if we don't have to.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
Okay, if that makes, yeah.
As I mentioned previously, I asked everybody to review the materials and come prepared with ideas on public comment and public recognition. With that in mind, I'd like to go around the table and hear from each council person. Does everybody have a copy of the council rules and procedures?
Yes.
Except me.
But we can help you
Here
with
it is.
that. Oh.
I know.
You have a copy?
Okay.
There's an extra copy right here if anybody needs it.
I've got 4 copies.
Jeez.
It's for Elijah.
It's Elijah.
During the Passover Seder, you fill a cup with wine, and it's for the prophet Elijah. And
Okay, now I'll
open the
get
door.
it. Thank you.
Okay, so rule number 9 starts on page 9. So first, let's talk about public comment on agenda items. The rule before we had our pause was 3 minutes per speaker on any, one on the entire agenda and one for each item on general business. And then, of course, if we have a public hearing, that automatically allows for oral arguments per state law. So should we start with what everybody feeling at this time before the discussion for public comment on or oral comment items?
Yeah,
Okay.
just real quick, I actually didn't think I was gonna like getting all the emails, and what I actually do like about getting the emails is I get a chance to read them in advance. Sometimes we've talked about at a meeting, somebody comes up and presents something to us that there's like almost not enough time on the day as to process and do it. We're getting a little more advance of it. So I've actually really, surprising me, really liked that. I thought maybe not having somebody personally there, but it also just kind of like allows you to take it all in as information with maybe a little less vibrato or things like that. That's passion. I don't really say that because that's important. It comes across in some emails for sure. So I've been surprisingly really positive on getting emails.
Okay, what's everybody else's feelings? Because I don't want to make the decision on my own. I want everybody to state how they feel. Denise?
I totally get what Michael's saying, and I do appreciate that. And I can even sort them and manage them and count them and all that good stuff easily when they're on my computer. I miss seeing the people and hearing from the people directly. And I think there are some people that might be intimidated even from writing an email into city council that maybe they feel more comfortable dropping in. I don't know. I have felt like, even though it's been a break and it's quite frankly been almost like a respite, I've healed or gotten strength, and I appreciate that. But I think it's been out of balance, and I'd like to see more. I think for me, the time limit would be important. I think 3 minutes is a long time. It's much longer than people think it is. Yeah. And if we could limit that to a minute and a half, to 90 seconds, which is still really fine if you're wanting to make a point. That would give us, I think the most important thing for me as I reflect back is enforcing our council rules. And if that means that somebody's behavior at the podium is abusive, or it's a personal attack, I do think we need to enforce the rule and say you're not abiding by council rules and cut the mic off.
Well, I'd like to hear from the city attorney to see if we legally can do that, especially with people calling in on Zoom.
Yeah, so there are whenever we ask the people to come and make comments, and then I'm going to just talk about public comment, which is different than public recognition. So that's important.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking about public comment, I'm talking about
Agenda
we're already limiting comments to agenda items. And so the other issues are things that we would just need to work on with our chairs and our backup chairs for managing the meeting, and that would include what can and can't be stopped. And there are times where it's going to probably feel like uncomfortable. The courts have given people a lot of leeway, so things like obscenities and things like that might not be things that we can cut them right on. But we can work with our chairs and our vice president who can chair, so that everyone feels comfortable with what is allowed and what's the procedure and required. And that goes really for the whole thing. It's all content neutral, and so you'd be looking at whether a person is germane or not germane, not whether they're not germane in a way that's nice or not germane in a way that's mean.
And I think it's tough to determine what's germane, which is why
I almost always will say,
Yeah.
it is germane. I'm explaining it. I'm getting
And
there.
we have
So-
we have so many people here that have chaired a meeting before, and they've had to make that decision, and you can't, because they'll always tie it back.
To Lisa's point about a shorter time period, maybe people have to get to the point faster. People have to, make their point.
Rick, you had your hand up.
Yes, so one of the reference materials we got was from Seattle, and they have a 2-minute limit, I noticed. The other reference materials was the ACLU guidelines, which, similar to what our attorney said, pretty different. The public has a very wide aperture with regard to, during public comment, what they can and cannot say. Basically, they can say almost anything. We can't, but they can. When I used to chair planning commission meetings, I used to, when I had public comment, require name and address so that there was some information about where the person was speaking from. And I thought that was standard procedure, frankly.
We can't require that.
Can't require registration. You can request it. There's a question about whether you can make it requested.
Which is one of the other reference materials did talk about people signing up in advance. And if you weren't on the docket to speak, you didn't speak.
Yeah,
I do agree with Michael. I have found the written comments with regard to agenda items to be very valuable and much more germane to what we were doing. If we do go back to public recognition, my recommendation would be it's at the end of the meeting.
That's a different, that's a different
Okay, we're only
subject.
talking about
Public
agenda
comment.
items.
Agenda item.
On agenda items.
So can we get clarification on his ideas?
Mhm.
So can we have people sign in, or could there be a sign-in sheet that gets given to the president and then they just call people by name?
Yeah, some cities do that.
But then you also
What about the Zoom though?
have to allow for Zoom.
Sure.
Yeah, but you work that, you're in control of that.
The Zoom, we can require that people, that want to comment remotely register in advance, like we were doing for public information, we can require that for agenda items.
Okay, I think Anna's got the floor.
Rick, will you know?
I'm done with,
For
with my
this round.
comments on agenda items, yes.
Okay. So, I waded through Seattle. I thought Redmond and Spokane were much more relevant, and both of them, or no, I tell a lie. Spokane also had the 2-minute limit. But I combed through it as not an attorney, not someone who has gone to law school, and I saw no reference to Zoom. The options were you're in person, you do a sign up, or you do a written comment. Am I wrong about that? 'Cause
Yeah, so there's legislation, I didn't look at which,
I looked
part,
at
but
all
so it
4 of these
happened in-
guys.
well,
Last year it happened.
2022.
Oh,
The LPMA
So-
changed where if you allow, and it was in the ACLU thing, saw that.
I did.
Yeah.
But it's not in any of these, which are much,
Well, they might not be
It
up
might
to
not be
date.
updated. It was, but the law, requires that if you allow open, or if you have oral public comment at your, open public meeting, that you need to allow, people to comment by Zoom as well, and that you can have a registration requirement.
okay. And it can be like 24 hours in advance and you have to provide an email address.
It doesn't actually say that, but, some cities do. What was that?
I was just saying, it should be the same deadline that we're using for
Sure.
emails.
Yeah. That's what Kids Have Housing and Homelessness Coalition. It's like you have to provide an email and your full name before you can register for the webinar, well, for the Zoom.
Sure, so how some cities are handling that is that instead of it, they actually send you a participant link and they need your email to get that.
Yeah. Oh. I thought that the 2-minute thing was great. I thought that the continual references to things that are relevant to the affairs of the city. So like people who want us to stop Satan, that's actually not,
Well, that's different. That's not public comment. That's public recognition. We're not talking about that right this
Unless
second.
Satan's on the agenda.
Yes.
Which it could be.
well, and
Campus.
if Satan is not on the, when Satan is not on the agenda, it could be considered not germane. But that, and I also, hang on, I took a lot of notes. It also expanded on a number of these, and I just kept coming back to Spokane because they wrote in plain language, which is so difficult for me. No profanity, no vulgar language, no obscene speech. Also no signage, no flyers.
We can
nothing.
request it, but we can't. enforce it.
No, we can't enforce that.
I think that would be.
So these are all outdated, the things that
Yep.
we're using.
Yep.
That's kind of,
Well,
okay.
I can say, like I said, it's not good form for me as an lawyer to comment on other people's policies. It's just bad form.
Okay, fair enough.
What I'm saying, and I think the ACLU has really good guidance here, and if you look at that article, I think it gives you some pretty good guidelines on what the law is at this point. There has, and that at this point 3 years old, so there's even more we should look at, but there was also MRC started doing a lot of this coverage on this because the Zoom bombing was something that's happening all over Washington, and MRC was covering it, and they specifically addressed, why not just prohibit hate speech? And they have a whole article about why that is tempting, obviously, to prohibit, but there's two reasons why it's not advised to that. One is it, a content-based restriction, and then there's concern about a free speech violation. And then second, it's difficult for the chair to define it. It's not always, clear cut. And then also the person will sometimes continue on for a while.
Yes.
And then start throwing things in, and then, by that point, it can be difficult for the person in the meeting to whether they should or they shouldn't, and they're just watching the clock and stop. But
Well, again, a good reason to go with the 2 minute. The other thing that I saw frequently was, like terminate the individual's comment period by direct security staff to assist an individual to the individual seat. And again, if we had like, what I've been thinking about is like a half an hour, 2 minutes each, 2 minutes per person, preference to Bremerton residents, totally on the honor system because we can't ask where people live. Maybe we could get some of those fine, upstanding young security guards from the Washington Avenue parking garage to like stop by for that half hour. No.
yeah, I would be worried about one. I mean, we would definitely want to be more involved in their training because that's the thing that you want someone to.
Well, what they're saying is like, just like walk them to their seat.
Okay.
You know,
I understand what you're saying.
I don't think that's an issue that we
I
can
don't, yeah, I
solve
think right now,
well, it's
And visualizing what that might look like, and it's not good.
right.
It's not
I just
good.
think focusing on oral or written comment right now. Do we want
Okay.
oral or written? It sounds like oral.
well, so I'm
The
almost done.
discussion's ongoing.
Yeah, I'm almost done.
Okay.
I too have been knocked out by the written comment. I've really enjoyed it. One thing about that member of the community said, it's like, put those emails up during your council report, obviously totally redacted, so that people realize that we are actually reading them.
They're in the packet.
Right, but
Well, they either trust that we read our stuff or we don't.
I mean, it's after.
I'm
the-
not gonna
I don't
prove.
see the value in putting it in our reports because we've already voted on the item earlier in the day and for the meeting and stuff. But I understand.
Yeah.
To it.
And the other thing is at my town hall on Monday, I just saw, it was really wildly attended. It was standing room only. And there was such a desire of people to like be able to come to council and speak. And over an entire spectrum of people. So I love the written thing. And yet I think I have to agree with you, Denise. It's like you got to bring back the public comment. And then later when we're talking about public recognition, I will echo that.
Okay, well, it's different. Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay, one thing, I mean, maybe, we did talk about this, we're all having these town hall meetings because of no public comment recognition. Yes, you have them regularly, don't I see the look, but the attendance could also be influenced by people being directed to that space, although it was a good content item, so, but I think, here's a question. If it gets to be, if we set a 2 minute timer for folks, and it's 2 minutes, 15 seconds, where are you going to ask to cut the mic, or can we?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a content neutral restriction if you go over your time. I mean, everyone should be, and I feel like most of it.
This was specifically a question for you.
Well,
That's
yeah,
okay.
I mean,
I
if
say cut
it's,
them off.
if it's 2 minutes, I don't see why it would be different
Yeah.
than 3 minutes.
Because there's a little bit of kindness in there, we've got, and
No.
also,
No, it's
Okay.
I
just
mean,
fairness. We need to-
why does one person get 2 minutes and one person
I
gets 2 minutes
agree.
and 15 seconds?
so what I'm saying is, do you have a protocol for that when it does happen?
It's just like we do it now. We shut off the mic after 3 minutes.
Well, we don't do it now. Okay, you're getting a little defensive. Hold on a minute, let me talk. Okay, I got this. What I'm saying is it's happened, but the mic hasn't been cut. And so I'm just curious to you, Council President, if you have a plan in place for it to say, or like, could we ask Dave at 2 minutes, 5 seconds might cut. Do you mean,
Right at 2 minutes.
do you have is that something that we're gonna do?
Well, of course, we'll have a plan.
Yeah, I mean, if it's
We
2
have to
minutes,
decide
May not
first.
be a perfect
we have to
plan.
decide what, everybody's got to
Because we
agree
haven't
with what we have.
actually, I mean, we know like underneath it all that this is what we're supposed to do, and yet the decision in that moment is difficult, right?
We thank them
And so, yeah,
repeatedly. But I think what we would do, what I would suggest we might do is, if you say, if the chair says, thank you, that's your time, 2 times, that's Dave's signal. You don't want the chair to be sitting there at the dais saying, turn the mic off.
I know this.
Like, so
This is why I'm asking the question,
well,
because I want to know what you're suggesting.
we have to figure out what we're going to do first, and then
Yeah.
how we're going to do it.
Right. So, okay, we're getting lost in the weeds, y'all. I feel like I just want to be
we'll get the
assertive.
That's what I'm trying to do. Is pull
Okay,
you out of the
so
weeds.
then what I'm hearing is, I'm not in the weeds, y'all are. I
How
got this.
dare you?
How dare
How
you?
dare you?
Guys. stop, come
24,
on.
24-hour Zoom advance deadline. Is that something that I heard us agree on? The
Well,
24-hour Zoom, and then also,
Jennifer, can you just make your comments and then other people still have other comments to make, so you don't have to wrap it up right now,
We're still on
please.
email or oral.
oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure that I understood, because we had some things that were talked about and then we said, no, that's for public recognition. Like, for instance, an end of meeting. I wouldn't be in support of having public comment at the end of a meeting.
Or public recognition.
Public
Yeah.
recognition.
Exactly.
is
So that's why I
different.
wanted to clarify.
I would.
So the 24-hour advance Zoom notice would be for public comment, correct? That's what I heard?
Mhm.
Okay. And then I liked the idea that you talked about with needing an email to receive a link to be a participant for Zoom. I liked that idea. And I would go along with the 2-minute limit. That's why I was asking about a plan for cutting folks off. And to have a docket for folks that want to make a public comment on specific issues, so that you could call on them and they would have to sign up in advance. That one is a little tricky for me, because what I've appreciated is when people have those spur of the moment, retorts to somebody's response, or a response to somebody's answer, or comment. And sometimes it's hearing somebody sparks a new response that has helped me to inform my decision. What I'm concerned about with bringing public comment back is that the loud voices, that the louder voices will be so loud that it will discourage the voices that we want to hear. And not that we don't want to hear the loud voices, but I want to hear from a wide range of folks. And I have seen people stand up and sit back down.
Yeah.
So that's my concern with bringing it back, but I'm totally in support of the ideas that I heard, and that's my opinion. Is that better?
Denise, where are you at?
Well,
we all want I think we want people there. I think we want to hear from them, and it's not just about the good stuff, right? We can take it. I do think that there's a limit with behavior there. The name calling and all of that, it's draining, quite frankly. That being said, I think that what I'm worried about is the timing of this. We've taken it away. And what I've noticed is that there are a lot of people out there that want to talk to council right now. And you know what it's about? It's about the shelter.
Well,
So every single agenda item, they're going to try to bring the shelter into it. And we're going to really need strong. And I think between Jane and I, as vice president, if we're united about this, we can manage that. But I do think that will happen. It's almost like we've put a stopper on something, and now we're taking the stopper out, and there's a backlog. You understand backlog, Chance. So that's my concern, but it's something we're going to have to manage anyway if we open it back up at all. And I'm game if that's the consensus of everybody.
Well, what you're saying though is public recognition.
Yeah, but they're
If
going
it's
to
not-
try to bring
If
it.
it's not on the agenda, then they can't discuss it. But I think one thing that is really important is that when we get complaints against council or against staff, there is a very complete process of what people are supposed to follow, and it's not supposed to be at a city council meeting. It's supposed to be in writing, and the directions are all in here. And I think maybe we should post that on our webpage to make that clear to people, instead of people coming and accusing somebody, either staff or council, of some transgression at our business meeting.
Can you cut them off and talk to them about the procedure and have it not be a violation of their free speech rights? Do you see what I'm saying?
We're looking to the attorney.
I can build on that. I have a second question. Could you say, you're getting into employee behavior. We would like to pause you and set you up to meet with our HR director.
Well, the HR director isn't the way it goes.
Right.
Well, we didn't have an HR director when this was wrritten. And
True.
and one of our,
Oh,
to me, the biggest reason we're
Interesting.
doing this is the way staff who
Yes.
we're overseeing feel that they've been attacked and how they've been maligned and things like that in the public.
yes.
But
That's
it's
the number one reason that I think we're not doing public.
well, it's also, I mean, Kylie, our rules legal that we have for how people are to file a complaint against staff or
No, that's
council?
fine. I mean, the way that's an absolute. Yes, the council is not in charge of staff. It's
Right.
in the charter, and so the requirement or the rule that references that is a nod to that authority shift, right? It's that it's not germane for the council, because comments are meant to be to the council. It's not germane for the council to field those complaints. So it goes back to the germane.
But our council rules also state that if they have a complaint about an elected official, be it council member or the mayor, there's a process that's supposed to be followed. And I'm asking, is that
Right, so one of the things that's gonna be problematic, and I tell you, it's gonna be hard, is that criticism of a particular elected official, and whether it's related to an agenda item or a previous agenda item that might be influencing their position on a current agenda item. You can see how it could be, it's gonna be, I think, difficult for the chair to really drill down on this. I think that it's gonna be difficult to say that is like, you can't say anything.
Words like cartel might.
I don't really want to get into specific examples.
Yeah.
But it is gonna be challenging, and everyone recognizes that it's challenging, and I'm sorry, guys, I know if, for anyone watching this, there's a really bad windstorm.
It's almost like
And we have windows.
the universe wants to speak on this.
has anybody else in this room been through a hurricane?
Yes.
Okay, then,
Tornado.
okay, so we can all be like nervous
We'll be good.
together.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, so, I don't want the, and I don't want the decisions to hinge on the ability to curtail a whole lot of speech, because I think that, you're gonna find that your attorneys are gonna be very, permissive, and it might be more than your comfort zone because of, the way that free speech law is written, and the courts were really looking for what is a disruption to the meeting. And that might be a call to violence. It might be, something like that. We're not going to be able to get into probably to stop the kind of things that, our rules had originally hoped to be able to stop, even though there might be some leeway there with something that's not germane, but it is gonna be
Right.
difficult if, you know, if someone wants to keep bringing it back to the issue.
Okay. So Christy, we haven't heard from you. What your opinion is?
I would say my suggestion, and again, this is for public comment on agenda items only. I agree with bringing back the ability to speak in the meeting. In doing that, what I've looked at is, you know, limiting the time, so the 3 minutes being a bit too long. So I was even more cutthroat than I was like 90 seconds,
Me
but
too.
I hear this.
I'm on
So
90.
I was gonna say, I'll just say what I felt in this, and you let me know if this is way out the bounds of like the legal realm here, but allowing for the comments to come back, making the time limit 90 seconds, and putting an overall cap on we are going to have this long, so 20 minutes, 30 minutes of public comments, and then this is where it gets a little priority given to those in the room for that, like it's 20 minutes total, regardless of the platform that you're choosing to use to make these comments. And then the priority for that is the people that are in the room. So if this is a very robust meeting that there's a lot of attendance for, and it hits that ceiling marker for we allow public comment on the agenda items for X amount of minutes, then, you know, unfortunately, we may not get the people that would be online in those circumstances. So that's where, but I was trying to figure out the cap thing. Like if we had a set amount of time that we were going to do this for, how you do that in a fair way, because then it makes it to where, so if you split it up and you said 10 minutes here and 10 minutes online, then, you know, somebody who was there anticipating that they would get to speak and came out wouldn't get it, but folks at home would because they have a different bucket of time.
Okay, so a few things. One, some places do have times limits on public comment.
Mhm.
And so that is something we can do. And there's a lot of local variation in how that's divvied up. I would have concerns about always defaulting to in-person first, because under the OPMA, the people that are calling in are it's supposed to be because they have difficulty attending a meeting. It almost aligns almost with like an ADA accommodation. So I would be leery of that. I believe there's some places that alternate where sometimes they go,
Oh, I like that.
and
Yeah, that's much better. I like your version.
Throw all the names in a hat.
well, and then, but some places do not have a limit on public comment. With regard to the, 2 minutes to 90, keep in mind, Bremerton has been, I think, somewhat unique or whatever. Remember the presentation that I did a while back, where when we were doing public recognition and comment on we were doing comment on agenda items that were on consent. We had public recognition, we were doing comments on all the business items, and then if we had a public hearing, they were also using 3 minutes. We were giving people about 10 minutes of speaking time, which is, I think, more than what a lot of cities were doing. And so if we're going to do 90 or 2 minutes, remember that's going to be multiple phases throughout the meeting. It's not going to be total speaking time. So it's 90 per
Opportunity.
Yes, and I took that into consideration because you were also saying that we could lump everything, like go over everything and then have speaking time. And you, like the speaker, would then announce if they were doing an agenda item.
The thing I don't like about
public
that,
recognition.
I like and maybe it's just staying focused, but when you hear the staff presentation and you hear the public comment and the rule is that you need to stay germane to the topic, it's packaged well so that the council's hearing the presentation and the comment that go with that item. You can focus in on those issues.
Yeah.
Not that we're going to delay voting and we're going to go back.
No, I didn't like it. I knew that you had said it, but I was like, I like the boxes, if you will, of like, again, that's why I said this public comment only, recommendation of time, and a cap on expectations.
I haven't looked too much at caps on public comments generally, because I haven't heard that before here. If we're gonna do that, we want to time to figure out what I think is going to be better to do that. But we probably want to get consensus on that first. Is there consensus on that before I draft up some rules on how we're gonna figure out who gets to go and not? I will say
it's messy.
City of Spokane was in the paper this morning. They are also reviewing theirs.
Nice.
And theirs is an issue of having a large number of regular commenters, people who come and comment all the time, and they feel like their meetings are going really late in the evening. And so a person who has a particular interest in like a neighborhood issue, that if you're not getting, because the meetings are going so late, people are leaving and going home. And so they're trying to figure out, how do you, if people who are just coming down to City Hall for that one item because it's in their neighborhood and they really want to speak their piece, and they don't usually come to meetings. And so they would give their a good seat. Because, and so it was just interesting to hear that, and other people are obviously going.
May I interject? Yes, just one of these, I think Spokane, but possibly Redmond, was saying that if people were frequent commenters, they would kind of like bump them down towards the bottom of the list. They said it nicer than that. So that I think so that people who are coming for a specific agenda item in their neighborhood or in their wheelhouse would have an opportunity to comment calmly, quietly.
But that doesn't allow for, like Jennifer's point, when somebody comes up and says some comment on a bike lane, and you disagree with their point of view, so you want to go up and make a comment. So if you haven't signed up in order, then you don't get to have those
They have
reactions.
not figured it out yet. I think they were still working on it, so I don't know.
I also feel like
I think we're trying to make something that is better, and I have zero hope that we will make something that is perfect.
Oh, yeah. Me too. Rick, you have something to say?
We publish the agenda ahead of time. So if somebody wants to make a comment about an agenda item, I think it's not unreasonable to ask that they sign in, and so that you can call on them, so that if they spend the effort to come down for their specific item, they'll get a chance to speak. What I've seen in watching, I've not experienced this, but I've watched it on the youth committee, it's almost like, oh, he or she said that, now I want to make a comment. And so people spur of the moment decide to come up and make a comment, which in some instances is great. I mean, the one example, when I've had a commenter change my mind on my vote on a particular item. So those are important, but I think controlling it is some way to control it so that you call on the person because they've signed up ahead of time in theory, they've watched them onto the council agenda, might have seen Nick's presentation. And had it been presented tonight, then they would have had something to say. They came prepared for that. Also allow them to make some notes about what they might say in their 2 minutes.
Right.
I'm not sure that, I think that's good for agenda items. The consent agenda, that's already kind of been, there's 5 or 6 items on the consent agenda tonight, so somebody could comment on any number.
Currently, they only are allowed one for the whole
read, but they still could comment on we lumped 5 items into one agenda item, so they could comment on any one of those 5.
Yes.
Or all 5 within 90 seconds.
Or all 5 within
Or all 2 minutes or whatever.
within 2 minutes. But I really think controlling who speaks, at least at the outset, would be much more productive. If they have to sign a roster at the back to indicate what the topic they would like to speak to.
And then maybe the city clerk brings it up to the dance or something.
I think that's what most things, and we can ask around and get some feedback on the it's not a registration, it's a sign up, and it has to do with the order. One of the issues that it also addresses is the lineup. That's been a concern, not just for people feeling uncomfortable with people kind of moving around behind them, but also accessibility and
Yes.
And so I think it allows us the chairs to call a person, like next up we have this person, that way everyone can stay seated and comfortable. And the person who is at the podium is the only person that's in that
That zone.
That zone.
Yeah.
Just real briefly, I feel like the docket is a good idea. Since we're moving back into this to make it a little more restrictive, but allow the public comment. And then we're gonna check in again. We're gonna check in again in a few months and see how it's going. So, I'm okay with the docket.
It could also be that we allow still people who, you could still call for public comment after you've gotten through it.
But I still would love to see it, if y'all feel, is there a way that we can send people a participant link if they register 24 hours?
That's different. I mean,
That's
that's for the
different.
online portion. I'm talking about for the.
I know.
In person.
I'm sorry. I understand that. I'm just checking in on
Oh,
that.
I'm
idea.
gonna check with IT. I saw that today. Some
Okay.
cities were doing that, that they,
If y'all feel like that's a good idea.
some of them had, I think it was Marysville that I was looking at, had an online form where you actually sign up to do all your public comments. You can sign up for written, you can actually submit a written comment through a web form. You can sign up and say that you intend to provide oral comment, and you do a little pull down menu at the meeting you're gonna be at and the agenda item you're gonna talk to, or you
Oh,
can say, I
that's
wanna be
cool.
at Zoom.
Yeah.
They have an
So the
online
issue-
sign up.
So the issue that this brings up is, are we thinking about rolling this out in next council meeting? Because if we don't have the
Oh, yeah,
IT
we-
portion.
No, we don't have the rules yet.
Perfect.
But soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, Mike.
No, but I think it's Rick has kind of.
Well, I already spoke once.
That's okay. I mean, we're all gonna.
Okay, so the other comment that I would make is we have to be strong. People are going to try to get under our skin and try to disrupt the meeting, similar to the individual that commented on the first meeting of the year. So we have to understand that we got to take it.
Mhm.
And let me back that up. We shouldn't have to take it. But if it comes to pass, then we got to endure it for 90 seconds or whatever the case might be. Because some folks, they are successful if they say something that causes us to vacate the dais or.
I agree on that. I don't think if we disagree with what's being said, I don't think it's a good move to stand up and walk away.
Well-
Once they will, I got it, they'll do it again and they'll continue to do it and go. So I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's proper. I'm just saying that we play into their.
It's not about them.
It's not about them.
It's about my own sense of integrity. I do not witness abuse and do nothing. I am not the subject of abuse and do nothing. Sorry, they've broken the rules. If they're saying something completely out of order, like our Zoom calls, if it's homophobic, if it's, xenophobic, no matter what it is, I'm going to get up and walk out. It's like it's
When
just
is that
my
ever
DNA.
Michael.
Well, I have another question, but that brings up an interesting thing. If say we have a full complement at the dais, if 4 people get up and leave, we no longer have a quorum.
We no longer have our
If
quorum.
they're in the room, we do.
That's interrupting the meeting.
If we're in the room,
Yeah, if you're still in the room, it's a quorum.
Well, I mean,
I mean, that was legal advice I was given.
okay.
I've walked up and gone to the
So
audience.
actually, back to this IT solution, which I know is further down the road, but actually, you know how you, like with Washington State stuff, you go and you can just say you support.
Yeah,
Or,
yay or nay.
if we get to some sort of IT solution, I like that idea.
Mhm.
I do feel like there's a majority, probably a consensus of bringing back oral.
Yeah.
Comments. And I think that I'd like to maybe focus a little bit on the how we're going to do that and the time. I'm very comfortable with 90 seconds. Every time I hear 2 minutes, I'm less comfortable with it. But one of the reasons is if we go to 90 and then we're going, you know what, that is too short. It's very gracious to move it to 2 minutes. If we go to 2 minutes and we go, it's like the same but faster, like then we have this, and then it just seems like, and I really, because I'm trying to make sure we're not using words like control and restrict. It's really not about that. It's
Managing the meeting.
it's
Time management.
It's more than that, but yes, it's about it is about decorum. It is about being civil, and it's about civics, and it's about, how we do that and value.
Well, one thing though, and I'm just throwing this out there. I can take anything they throw at me. I'm looking out in the audience and I'm seeing 15 or 20 or more people having to listen to some of the disgusting comments that are being made via
Some
Zoom
children.
bombing. So, I mean, that's just, so I guess we're gonna have to live with that for 90 seconds. I agree with 90 seconds.
Radio has.
One thing I wanted to ask about that is, could the president have just like a little statement that after somebody says something, I just want to say, like, comments made by,
please.
You don't have to say, but you can choose when to interject it. Comments made do not reflect, may not reflect something, just to say like, hey, we hear you, we see you, you're out of line.
Some
But
people do that. Some cities do that before public comment begins. That these are the rules, and these are warning. Not necessarily like a trigger warning, but that there may, because of free speech protections, there may be comments that are made that don't represent the views of the city council, but that are allowed.
or maybe it goes on a slide, so you don't have to.
Right. Well, no, I think some places.
I can say it.
Someone has it, like they put it up on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like on a slide.
Like it's a slide that it kind of encompasses the.
I think that's a
rules.
great idea to have up there.
As
the
long as
whole
we get it a
time.
week in advance.
Well, I think it's gonna be the same one every time, so you'll have it for a long time.
You only need to be in by Tuesday at noon for your slides, so
But,
don't.
Yeah, so there's some things that we can do that some places.
And maybe some of that could just like say that we ask that everyone
And there are a lot of rules that.
follows decorum and and maybe we can illustrate some of that. And we don't have to tell them they don't have to, just ask.
Yep.
That we do. And then you could restate that once in a while. Hey, I just want to remind folks that we ask that you,
There's
refrain.
kids in the room. There's shy people in the room. It's, there are shy people in there.
There's people that don't even like Krampus. How are they gonna hear all those other
We
words?
got emails from people who were like,
Yeah.
I'm not coming down to give oral testimony on anything because it's just such a, they used language that I don't wish to use at this time. It was a,
I get, everyone, when we have a
Unpleasant.
bad meeting, I almost always get at least somebody, either in
Yeah.
person or sends me a text going, how do you do it?
well, I'm thinking about people from the public who want to come and speak.
Yeah, and they're
Um,
nervous about being at our meetings, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
do we have consensus on a time limit? I'm for 90 seconds.
I'm for 90 seconds.
Sure.
90.
Rick, what do you feel?
Michael's logic makes sense
Yeah.
that it's not enough. I think 90 seconds is too short, but fine, if that's where we want to start.
Yeah, we can always make it longer. Anna, are you comfortable with 90 seconds?
I think Michael's logic is good.
Yeah.
And I look forward to
Get that
beginning to
one.
agitate for it being extended to 2 minutes in about a week.
I do want to just point out, the time limit is actually not in our rules. That's just been a custom. And you have departed from 3 minutes repeatedly.
Yeah.
You may have done it
Yeah,
in the
I'm glad
past. Yes, so, I know Eric was a big fan of departing from it. When he would see a large crowd, he would make the determination as chair, we're doing 1 minute public comments or 2 minute public comments.
Yeah.
And
Just
that
say
was-
yay or nay.
and he would also ask if people generally state when they come up, which side are you on?
Yeah.
And so that it helps to process. So if you look at rule 2, since I know y'all have the copy, you'll notice there are no time limits on there. And it's like a chair may restrict time.
Okay. So then we don't have to involve ourselves in more.
Well, except we're trying to give Jane some guidance.
Yeah.
Right.
please.
We don't need to change the rules and procedures is
Yeah.
what we're
No,
saying.
you
And
can-
nor would I
I'm
want
just
us
saying
to.
it's not written down.
I always think the
Don't
chair.
Never again.
As long as it's, everyone that has whichever viewpoint is equally, and you don't say, well, if you're here for the
You get 5 minutes.
If you're here, you get 30 seconds. That's what you get.
Come.
Yeah.
So for every comment, if you're restricting it to, if you're departing from the norm and restricting comment on all items.
We can't make everybody against something. talk at
No,
the same
what
time.
I'm
No, but if
Like,
there's
what-
like
what-
200
what happens
people
is
show up for
To
one
speak
thing.
on one item,
Then everybody has to
items
go
on,
there.
the comments on that item could be restricted even
Okay,
further. to
on that one,
allow
I got
people to speak.
And I think, was it Eric or was it something Eric referred to is like, if we had a huge crowd, is to just go like, okay, if there's 20 of you that are all gonna say the exact same thing, like, can you get together? Yeah, but they really wouldn't do it. I mean, he would say it and they still would want to be heard, most of them. We can suggest it.
Yeah, obviously we can't compel it.
Could I
But
do it?
it's, the last time we had that, I think was Anartai. And it was like by the 12th or 15th person saying the exact same thing.
Reading the same letter.
It was difficult for me, a mere mortal, to like still be listening to the logic of their arguments when the language was exactly the same over and over.
May I check in with us, Council President? We talked about half an hour, but it's been 50 minutes. Is it okay to do a little check? And check in on if we still have how much more of this item to go? Public recognition or?
I think public comment.
Well, we're still on
aren't we?
public comment. We don't have a decision of what everybody wants on public comment yet.
90
I
seconds.
think we have some
90.
consensus on the 90 seconds.
We have that on the 90 seconds,
Yeah.
but
And the publishing of the guidelines beforehand.
is everybody cool with that?
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
sign-in sheet.
The docket?
Yep.
Okay.
Everybody
Yeah.
happy
So
with that?
there'd be a sign-in sheet for each agenda item,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Because that would be easier, because
Well-
then you could just be handed a list as opposed to, but I guess the issue is, you know, if somebody shows up late.
At the end of it, she could just say, is there anybody that didn't have a chance to sign up?
But she doesn't have.
A bunch of these regulations have that, and it's at the discretion of the chair.
Right. I think the chair should have as much flexibility in
Yeah.
managing this.
Yeah, unless it's 10 o'clock, I totally agree.
So,
And then the 24 hours.
Kylie, do you have the guidance you need to?
90 seconds or comment, sign-in sheet, and sign. And I'm adding on here script too, because we're gonna redo the script.
And also publishing the guidelines, like on a slide or.
But I would like them on the big screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's important to read it too.
Right, I think it'll be a part of the script.
Yes.
There's also, the MRSC has a follow-up that they did, with some good ones where, they have a script that they share from the city of Kirkland, which it says, after an incident has happened, like a Zoom bomb, it just says, before continuing, I want to offer a comment on behalf of our council. We heard statements tonight that were hurtful, offensive to our community. The city council does not condone those comments. They are disruptive to our meeting. We are committed to making Kirkland a safe and inclusive welcome place. And they go on. So I'm just saying that they have in their script, like, if this happens. then
Yeah.
you say this.
Yep.
So-
That sounds
That's really good.
Yeah, I
Look
like
at
that.
telemarketing. They've got that.
And then I'm working on the IT and for an email link for
Right.
Zoom attendants who request, is it 24 hours or you said something about another deadline? I don't know.
I think we said timing it to be the same for when written comments would be accepted.
That was like
Tuesday.
But at noon, yeah, is what we were.
I love it. I'm excited to hear from people again, hopefully. Mostly.
So, we ready to move on to public recognition?
No,
We can do it another
I
time.
think we should do it another night.
Another
I think
night.
I would even say, like, let's bring this back.
Yes.
Okay.
And then,
Let's give some people time to
Yeah.
send us some written public comments
Yeah.
on this item.
So with
I
this,
can't, because I'll miss their emails, actually.
what would you like my next steps to be? Do you want me to amend our rules? With a resolution to adopt new rules consistent with the feedback tonight, or?
I would think that there might be other changes to our rules, so it would be premature to bring it back as a resolution, but I think, what does everybody else think?
To
Can we-
change them more than
Can
once.
we pitch it to the public? Sorry, I'm back.
It would have to
Um,
be, if it's gonna be adopted, it would be a resolution of the council, that's how we change this.
For that,
Are
for
there
that one
written
rule.
changes in here that you're, because we're on a temporary thing right now.
Right now, I mean, the president has the ability to alter the agenda, and the president has been altering the agenda since October to remove public recognition. It is in here.
Well, I-
and we have public recognition.
But why do we need to, we don't need to change the rules? Is that what I hear you saying? We don't need to change the rules
Yeah,
because
a
the
little bit
council
towards
president
it,
still
yeah.
has purview.
Yeah, I guess until we
Yeah.
recraft all of this, I'd hold off on this document.
Okay,
Right.
Yeah.
But just make sure that we've
Yeah.
documented everything and then our chair is set up to handle it. We can.
Because really, you can do anything you wanted. You just want our feedback.
right, no,
Well,
this isn't
yeah.
like, I mean,
Thank you.
right, well, until we're in a meeting, but we appreciate everyone's comments, but it is chair, you were correct,
Yeah.
it's to decide others, you were providing your input,
Yes.
she's making a decision. So I can work with you on getting what you need for all of that.
And we
Thank
announce
you.
this next week? Yep. That this
Well-
is going to be implemented at such and such a time?
Well, I think
We can talk about that, why don't we talk about like,
Yeah.
because there's quite a few things that need to be drafted and some IT stuff that needs to be worked out. I don't want to say that we're gonna do it
Right.
until we have all the details worked out.
yeah, I think next week might be a little quick.
No, just to announce that it's coming up.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I can announce it.
Well, we haven't had the public recognition discussion. Some people are gonna feel a little bit like,
Yeah,
Like, where's the rest of it?
We can do that will make it.
We could solve all the city
Nothing.
problems tonight, we would.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're all
I-
trying to get home before
Michael's
trees
logic
fall
is
on our
good.
power lines.
Sound, what does
Okay.
it sound?
so
I
are
wrote
we,
good, but sound works.
are we all good on this item?
Yeah.
Okay,
Can we schedule this, please, for next study session?
Yeah,
The public
absolutely.
recognition?
Yeah.
It's not too jammed?
And not April 29th, are you sure?
I won't be,
you won't be here for the
oh wait,
March?
I'll be here on the 25th, yeah, but did
Okay.
you want it on the 25th, or did
I
you
don't
want it?
care, I don't care if you.
I thought Michael had said he wanted us to operate under these for a little while before we had the public
Well,
recognition.
that was a thought.
Okay, I didn't know if
Kind of
everyone agreed
just
with that. or
Start
not.
bringing it, show some
We should talk,
progress.
we should keep talking.
I think it's important to kind of roll them both out at the same
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
Absolutely.
That's why I think we should, because,
better you than me.
well, it depends on,
Okay, actually, can you just say why? I mean, I'm just being a little silly, but can you, seriously? can
well, the
you just-
reason why I'm saying that is because people aren't clamoring to talk about our consent agenda, right? I mean, there's only a few people who are really interested in the consent agenda most nights. But
Oh,
people are,
Next week's only the consent agenda. Thank you.
Right.
And the general business items,
There's no.
We have none.
business
there is,
For next week.
there aren't gonna be any.
Right.
But the thing is, what
Wait.
people are interested in is hearing our discussion on what is currently called public recognition.
We're getting to it. But I think that I'm gonna be a little more of like different, like, we could do it for, like, if I was in your position,
Mhm.
I like the idea of kind of going into it slowly. Maybe we get some modeling of how it's gonna go
Mhm.
so that people can kind of see what we expect. They see that what 90 seconds feels like, and we start to go for that so that if we choose in the future to bring back a more open public recognition thing, we've got some behavior models, we've got some, you even have gone through the motions of, explaining it, maybe having to thank people at 90 seconds and things like that.
Practicing on cutting the mic.
But it might also.
And one last thing would be, and we'll even get to see what 90 seconds feels like to see if it's appropriate for public recognition as well.
And
two
the,
different animals.
but the discussion and may end up being that people aren't comfortable with bringing back public recognition. I don't know
Yeah.
what everybody's thoughts are on that, so we'll see. So I think it's worth a discussion, but I understand, I mean, maybe we don't have a meeting on April 29th. On
Right.
May 6th, when we have our next council meeting, that we would institute public public comment.
Wait, not until May.
No, we're in
Oh, I'm
March.
sorry. God.
You're looking at April.
Yeah.
No.
not
March
that far into
25th
March
is our
either.
next study session, the 18th. So our April Fool's Day feels like it might be.
That's appropriate.
Yeah, that would be when we would start. Hopefully, we'd have everything set up to go back to public comment on agenda items.
And then we'll be like, just kidding, folks. We're not really bringing it back.
Do we want to like spend 10 minutes on public recognition now or zero?
There doesn't seem to be a lot of interest in
I
it
would like-
now.
Okay.
I'd like to, but that's okay.
I just,
So you want to talk about public recognition, yes or no, on the 25th? Is that what you're saying, Jade? And
I would like to talk about it on the 25th.
Okay.
Do we have, does the majority want to talk about it on the 25th?
Yeah.
Do we have room? On
Or-
24th?
I was gonna say that's
the agenda.
the agenda already.
So maybe instead of like having another of those blankety blank 10 o'clock meetings, maybe we could spend 10 minutes on public recognition now.
Okay.
When we still have like
Because I
a
think it's
brain.
way more than 10 minutes on
I
it.
think so.
Yeah.
It's a
Way
big
more.
deal. It's a big deal.
All right.
Well, much like how I would roll it out is how I need to sort of digest and process
Mhm.
this.
So then bring it back on the 8th?
No, on the 20,
Oh, adding
are
it to
you
that
saying
agenda?
that the 25th is a really full agenda?
Yeah.
Well, what if we did a little shifting like we did last time when we did I kind of liked the reports for, I don't know, you guys, I kind of like those reports for our committees of the.
It eliminated all discussion.
I like that too.
I liked it. What
It
if we
eliminated all
shifted-
opportunity for questions.
true.
I mean,
Oh, that's true,
okay.
yeah.
All right, that's fair.
Okay, so. Is there anything that we can move around on the 25th agenda?
You could probably work that with her later.
We all take it.
Okay, well-
25th
Yeah.
is a match of the 10 o'clock meeting that we had on February 25th.
Yeah.
There's two levies being discussed then. It's just,
Garrett's 3 items are coming back, and we gave him the questions were due today to
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
So he has 3 separate items that
Plus whatever else
goodness only
gets
knows.
shoved
Shoved
on
on
last
us.
minute.
okay, well, then we will discuss it on April 8th. We'll put it on that agenda, okay? And then we'll see
You
it.
guys will have Brett, that's fun.
I'm just gonna
Times
bring
that
this
one
up
right,
again.
Kylie.
If we have a short, public meeting that we could come back up here and talk about things. Because those 10 o'clock meetings, I
yeah.
at least become stupid.
Yeah, I don't want any.
Can we, and I did like that, can we maybe, I'm seeing many things on the consent agenda for next week. Did you want to come back and do, I'm not even gonna be here, so it doesn't
Yeah.
even affect me, but do you want to work on that issue
I do, yes.
after the meeting?
Right.
Public recognition.
Yeah, I do,
Yeah, I
yes.
could do that.
Okay.
I
If
could
it's a
just
short
share my
meeting.
opinion with
Yeah.
council president.
Yeah, it's a short
Because
meeting.
there won't be
Put it
any
in
public
writing.
comment
Yeah.
or public recognition.
Honestly, I think everything that I said about public comment, I just would echo with public recognition.
Well,
Okay.
then I'll read that aloud.
Okay, I'll do my best to get you a written comment.
We'll have
No
IT
problem.
read it back to us.
Okay, so, can we move on? All right,
It's next week then.
yeah,
Bringing it back to
Yeah.
the study session upstairs, is what y'all are gonna do?
yes.
Yeah. Because trying to discuss stuff around the dais, that's,
Can't even look at each other.
yeah.
I don't wanna call you by your first names anymore.
No.
Okay,
Ceiling would fall.
so let's,
I'm sorry if
Move
I
on.
threw a wrench in it.
we'll invite Chair Michael Goodnow to provide a brief summary of the last Public Safety Committee meeting that was held on
Yeah,
March
so
3rd.
I did this last week.
Oh, that's right, you
but-
did.
But if anybody wants to comment, I think we talked about, the big exciting thing was, making it legal to drive a car without a trash bag in it. That's the most,
That's cutting edge.
breaking, legal
I'm
decision.
still gonna carry
that we've
one.
done. You're welcome to, but you're not
It's not
gonna.
required.
You're
Not
not
gonna
gonna
get a ticket.
sent to the clink without one.
Up to 90 days.
And we're
Oh,
also,
okay.
I forgot, now, the other,
Fighting in public.
Oh, yeah.
Is legal too?
No,
No, it is now. Well,
cannot.
it's gonna be specifically, yeah, it's gonna be specifically legal. And the issue with that is that, like, if two people are fighting it, but nobody's like pressing charges or like, you're still a disturbance to things. Like,
Right.
there's some ground
I
there.
see.
Yeah.
So fighting in public,
There's something to do with bikes.
Helmet.
No.
Helmets.
helmets.
Expectoration.
No.
No, and it's matching the things because the bicycle laws didn't quite match what was going on with the bicycles we have
Oh, yeah,
nowadays
yes.
with the electric and
Okay.
the one we
Technology,
and
new,
so it was catching everything.
new bikes, and this was the.
Nude bike, wait,
One of the
wait.
new ones.
Nude, not nude.
Thank you.
From Fremont.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was the,
Like the helmet.
the helmet.
Oh, yeah.
Helmets.
oh yeah, that was all for it. We hit
What's the
all of it.
helmet thing?
It's the definition, it's more definition, it's really housekeeping, definitions of what was a bicycle when this was drafted. Or, compared to now, like the one-wheeled scooters and
They're
regular
cleaning things.
powered scooters. There's just
Okay.
a lot of other things.
There's a lot of other wheeled vehicles that
It's multimodal.
there is. It's the
Aw.
multimodal and like the helmet laws and things like that.
Right.
Like putting them all, making the definitions match up. So that
Okay.
makes better sense.
And so all of that'll be on the agenda
No, so only
for people to
well,
read.
I'm trying to go back and see what you requested.
what we're gonna do is those are gonna be on study session on the 8th.
Okay.
But the one with the transportation part is gonna be back at public safety on the 7th. Cause that one, the group wanted to look at the ordinance just to see it more clearly. They were discussed as a concept. Gary was talking about that. He wanted to bring this forward and they got to go ahead to bring forward everything. But that particular item is going to be on the agenda for the public safety, committee on the 7th. And then it will be in study session on the 8th, and then hopefully be on the agenda for the 15th.
Okay, so on the 10th, when the agenda goes out for the public to review, they would see all the proposed changes to our ordinance.
They would see it probably, they would see it earlier because it's gonna be on the study session on the 8th, so it'll be in the 3rd.
It'll be in the packet before we actually talk about it.
Oh, before you talk about, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all three of them will be in the packet, but they just set aside time to talk about that one.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to give you a brief summary of our last ad hoc committee meeting. So we're not trying to figure out all the solutions. What we're doing is we're taking the data that the county has put together and we're seeing if it makes sense to Bremerton, if it's fair to Bremerton. A lot of it seems like we are doing a way more awesome job than anybody in the county or any other city. So that, and we met with folks from the county. We met somebody who, Carl Borg and Carl and Doug, everybody knows them. But there was somebody who works for all three commissioners too.
Yeah, data guru.
Kaylee?
Yes, Kaylee. And we made it really clear that we want these discussions more broadly discussed, like at KRCC or someplace like that, where there are a lot of all the different jurisdictions. Because right now KRCC has told me that all they want to talk about is transportation and policies.
Well,
Land use. Yeah,
Don't-
land use policies.
I mean, I thought that there was at one point in time, there was an agenda item for homelessness.
Well,
It
according
wasn't on the last agenda.
Jennifer, I talked to them when I got onboarded and she said, no, there was no interest in it at the consultants who are
Let's bring it back.
KRCC. Well, that's what I'm trying to do. And that's why we talked to the person who works with the county commissioners to try to encourage them also to make this an item of discussion at KRCC.
To bring it back.
Yeah. So, and then,
breaking news on that. So
Sure.
You all did agree. We just got notice today that he was gonna have KRCC if they would put this on
Excellent, good.
Right.
And if not, we can just say something during good of the order.
But that's not really a discussion.
I know.
So, is it Denise or Rick, do you have anything to add to the ad hoc committee?
Well, my comments have to do with basically, I think we're on our own.
Yeah.
I think that Bremerton does host, most of the social services in the county. And if you just look at the way that the legislative group is in the county, the only legislator that actually lives in Bremerton that I'm aware of is Addison Richards.
No, he lives in Gig Harbor.
Sarah.
Tara doesn't live in the city limits either.
But Addison did. Okay.
Nobody
Emily
lives,
does.
nobody lives federal.
Yeah, she's
Emily, yeah, it's federal now. So we don't have any.
my comment is that everybody's doing their own thing. Port Orchard is working on their stuff. Paulsville's working on their stuff. They're all growing. They've all got demands from their citizens. Bremerton, we're on our own. As far as I'm concerned, we're on our own. And so therefore we need to find ways to support this. And I use the word privilege that we have here, responsibility, if you will, to support our homeless community. And we ought to really be looking at how we're going to do it on our own. And that means maybe saving some money elsewhere, maybe getting more support from our partners, like Salvation Army, Vincent de Paul, and those other things. Bremerton also has set the table for more development in that area. We've got rid of minimum parking requirements. St. Vincent de Paul came in and said that their new shelter was unaffordable if we imposed the number of parking places that were required to support that shelter. So we reduced the number of parking places that were required for commercial activities. ADUs, which you're all aware of. So Bremerton has really done a lot to make the climate and the environment conducive to people coming in here and building and providing support. Nobody's coming. Okay, there's nobody knocking on the door. There's nobody taking advantage of the exclusions or the accommodations we put in our planning requirements. And so now how do we get them to come in? How do we get somebody to come and build something new? So anyway, that's my comment. I consistently said that I don't believe there's a lot of help coming.
Yeah.
At least not in the short term.
Denise, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think it's important to include all the different perspectives. And I've always considered nonprofit service, community service, right? When you're working for a nonprofit, I definitely get that. It's an altruistic gene in many of us that want to support the community. The realities of the impact of that decision, that we house so many nonprofits, we house so many housing projects that are nonprofit, that our tax base is way too low to support a city of this size. Instead of becoming more and more supportive, looking for pennies on the sidewalk, the other jurisdictions aren't doing that.
They're building parks.
Okay, 7 Nordic style cottages, that doesn't qualify to me to providing homeless housing. So instead of continuing to bend over backwards to say, put it all here, just put it all here, our fire chief is done. I mean, this levy lift that we're looking at is just to provide basic services to our community. And it's because of all the additional services that we're providing, because we have all the at-risk people in Bremerton. And so we have to balance here, people. The city The city has a responsibility to provide basic services. It does not have a responsibility to say yes to every proposal that comes in for nonprofit services. So, and I say that as a nonprofit leader of many, many, many years. So please know that I know of what I speak. I don't believe that we can shoulder more of this responsibility, and I think that the county needs to hear that. I think that we've been used as, oh, Bremerton does it. We'll put it in Bremerton because that's where all the poor people live. That's actually what a county official said.
Yep.
So I would like to say to that person, stop that. Yes, we will take care of those that we have, but please don't keep locating the services here in Bremerton. And the latest example of that, and I'm going to go ahead and use it, is the shelter. That came in at 150% of what they said it was going to be, and they're asking us for $1 million. That's just not good governance.
As
It's
a
not good business.
member of the team that drafted the 5-year houseless plan, I'd like to jump in here real quick. One of the things that both of you are talking about, and I saw you, Jennifer, I'm just jumping in. Beg pardon.
You had your hand.
I did, thank you.
I'm not, you're not in question with me.
It's the only low barrier shelter in all of Kitsap County is right down the street from us. It is so much more expensive to have a low barrier shelter than it is like at the Monday town hall. People are going, Hallsville has this wonderful community room. They scream the heck out of the population that comes in there. There are no Class A felons. There's no this, that, or the other. If you are pretty much, as long as you are not using drugs in the Salvation Army and you are not incontinent, you can come into the Salvation Army. You can imagine that a population like that is much, much more difficult to provide case management to help people move along the continuum of care. I agree with Denise. We had a presentation. I love PCHS. I think we all do. But PCHS is like having this huge thing. It was like, it just happened to be in Bremerton. And I have heard that so many times over the years. Oh, it just happens to be in Bremerton. I would talk a lot longer, but I see 2 other people with their hands up. So I'm going to, wait, what is it? Stop. Okay, Jennifer.
So a couple questions and that I'd love to, well, one, I'm going to say the less loaded one first, and the more loaded one last. How about that? I really think that we should come together as a group to start lobbying other cities to promote these services. I mean, I know the Bainbridge Island, and I was just looking it up, but I'm pay blocked from Kitsap Sun, and I don't have the article in our email. I'm sure you might have sent it, but they're under review for being in violation of the Housing Affordable Act. And wouldn't that be a nice fix if they were able to use their resources to provide some shelter services and transportation services? And it's not because I'm trying to bust anybody out of the city. It's because there are homeless people over in that corner of Kitsap County as well. I mean, right now, we just heard about Kitsap Transit cutting services to some of these areas. It's not because there's a lot. Anyway, there's still a need out there. And we've heard from folks representing those people that there's still a need. So I would love for the ad hoc to discuss a plan. Since we are on our own, how do we use our voice, and maybe in conjunction with the mayor? Because I feel like that's a shared vision. Yeah. And that's something we can agree on, that other folks need to be helping. So I would love for the ad hoc to reach out and to lobby.
That actually did come up. Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Great point.
So one comment that I want to make to everybody here and the public, as of 5 o'clock today, no zoning application or any permit applications have been sent into the city for the proposed shelter on Sheridan.
So that's my next loaded question.
I have.
Can I please?
Yeah, no, I had got comment on that on Monday.
But we need to have a serious discussion about this funding. because we're getting taken to the cleaners and the public about this.
Yep.
And it's all about us not collaborating according to the public and according to, and I don't want to be that person. I want to figure out, can we support a practical vision? I want to support this pallet, the pallet shelter program if it's going to happen, but if it's not going to happen, I don't understand how feasibly that we can do this. And so that's another thing I was going to ask y'all about it. Do we have a feasibility plan for what the BHA has proposed publicly?
Well,
That would come with the permit application,
Of course.
or the zoning. And so
Yeah.
until because I can see why they would just do their zoning application first, because you want to make sure that is modified before you do your permit. But once they put in their zoning application, I would hope that they would come and give us a presentation on what their plan is.
The zoning application, or that we are expecting, we haven't received yet.
Yep.
I want to make it really clear, especially to the public that are listening. This isn't a simple zoning change. This would be a formal request to remove 5 acres from the Harrison Heights redevelopment area.
No, that's incorrect. They're two different things.
So
The zoning in Harrison Heights right now prohibits those small tiny homes from being.
Right, but if I understood our planning manager, he said if they want to move forward with the tiny homes, all they have to do is request a zoning change, not to pull it out of the comp plan. It's two different things.
I know you're not the biggest fan of it. I understand.
The zoning, but
I'm more
the
worried
comp
about the money, the
plan
funding that we would lose.
establishes Harrison Heights plan.
Well, I think we should
So it
probably
would have to be an amendment to the comp plan.
that's not how it was explained to me, but we should have
I'm pretty sure.
our planning manager
Yeah, very
explain it to
definitely.
everybody.
But
It's
do you-
in the
wait,
comp
but wait.
plan. It would be a
Well,
big
Do you have
change
some
to the
insight?
comp.
Harrison Heights allows many variations of housing. And if a tiny home is a housing variation. So as far as I know, it's not prohibited.
It is
It
prohibited.
is. We had a whole, I'm sorry, we had a whole
Mobile
presentation
homes,
last year.
tiny homes.
Hold
So,
on, our city attorney
Design
wants
Planning
to.
Commission.
Yeah, so,
Pallet shelter.
if you remember last
Okay,
year, we did an
yes.
amendment at the request about,
Yeah. For the swing set wall.
it was not related to any specific site. It was, about where you could have a temporary encampment. And those encampments, the definition was expanded to allow, at the time of the amendment, you could only have it for 6 months. We did a provision that added the planning commission, make the recommendation, it came to the planning commission. You could have, a longer term, temporary encampment if you used a pallet shelter, because those aren't housing, but they're hard-sided structures that don't meet building codes, but that provide shelter, and so they
Temporary.
still fell under that temporary definition, but they were also more sturdy than the soft-sided tent. And what we've changed during that time is where those could be located. We did
And
not-
BHA was part of that
they were
discussion.
the applicant.
Yes,
They were the applicant.
yes,
That change did not include, this area.
right.
And so, if they wanted to make it a change again, they would need to go through the same process that happened.
can I ask a question? I would love to come back to, can we get the funding discussion,
Allocated.
the funding, we need to probably talk about the funding if we want to try to reallocate it or not.
Is that within the scope of this ad hoc?
I think that's a little early to
Okay,
have that
okay.
discussion.
I feel like it's way too late.
Mayor.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Councilmember Chamberlain, for mentioning me for the discussion. For Kitsap Transit, I'm just going to give you one example of 100 different considerations. Kitsap Transit, myself, for many years, are lobbying heavily to have to increase our inner city service. So we have finite resources. We're making the case, myself and Pat, currently Councilmember Mockler, past council members, made the case that this is where the biggest need is if we're gonna support the density that's coming here. So with limited resources, where we talk about relocating transit-dependent individuals around the county, Seaback, Kingston, wherever we're talking, that is exponentially more expensive to get the public transit services. It's just one check of 20 checks on the box when somebody's going to Commerce to try to bring funds home to the county to do work. And so just, you know, as we're working through this, I agree that what is best for all of us in all circumstances is to have homes or just lower income services strategically located where they benefit the population that needs them the most. And that doesn't necessarily mean, we know it doesn't mean Bremerton, so people can come here. We know it means to have to be located around the county.
Yes.
But there's a cost. But there's, so you know, there is a public cost there. Just want to make sure we bring that up. I'm going to continue to lobby for a more intensive inner city public transit system.
If I were a conspiracy theorist, I would say then cutting off public transportation to some areas might be a way to eliminate methods of being able to be recipients of grant applications for vulnerable folks. That's if I was a conspiracy theorist.
Okay, well, that's kind of different, but one thing I want to bring up is that Peninsula Community Health has clinics in every community now, right? They have them on Bainbridge, Silverdale, Kingston, Port Orchard. So that's one service. We don't have a hospital anymore. We have an urgent care located within our city. Then in the county, there's an emergency room and a hospital, two different structures, right? But it's that emergency room is not an emergency room that our firefighters can bring the majority of patients when they have to ambulance them out. Okay. So really, the services are going other places. So it's not like everything has to be in Bremerton.
Silverdale is the perfect choice, Mayor. That's where the hospital is.
Well, the hospitals is one consideration, but think of a transit-dependent, vulnerable citizen who needs to have access to the pet store, to the.
They have two transit. They have two transit centers in Silverdale.
Saying though, right now, when we extend these services outside, the cost to getting regular transit services around the county increases our expense.
But there's more transportation going to Silverdale than
well, there's one
other
route.
places.
There's a couple of direct routes that are getting us across the county, but I'm talking about inner transit, getting from Kitsap Lake area downtown here. That's a and routed. We are the only routed service in the county.
We're talking about shelter services specifically.
Well, I think we had a broader conversation about folks who have, is it shelter specifically?
I think we're specific because we're still
We're
talking
looking
about
at the
the housing
ARPA
ad hoc.
funding, Mayor, and wondering, we're gonna have to look at reallocation or something, and Jane is telling us that
Okay,
it's
so you're
precipitous.
it sounds like a bigger discussion on the housing and homelessness plan. You're dissecting that, breaking it down.
Yeah.
So and now you're shifting towards a specific project.
Well, some people are, not everybody.
I know
The mayor's he doesn't want to get looped into being
ready to enter into 4 different conversations.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's different things that we're discussing, but personally, I think that we're too early to be talking about reallocation of that money because currently they are telling us that any minute they're going to put in an application, right? So I think we have to,
and then
we have to provide that courtesy to allow them to do that.
Because what I just want to make sure that I understand that they really are, because in the letter that I read, the statements were saying we're happy to relinquish. We're also wanting to move forward with this, whatever direction council wants us to go.
That money is tied to the hybrid.
So you've now been
They've already
talking
said
about
they're not
this
doing it.
for over 20 minutes. typically an ad hoc committee meets and discusses and presents its findings. If we want to have this as an agenda item for the council, I am totally into it. But if there's going to be an ad hoc, do you guys feel that you have enough information to proceed for your next meeting?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so I have a few more things that I wanted to go over.
I have a couple of reports from boards.
When you say the next, are you talking about a council meeting or?
No, our ad hoc
our
meeting.
next meeting, right? Because there's a lot of data that's being
Dissected.
gathered.
Yeah.
that we have not seen yet.
So isn't the next thing boards and committees?
Yes, number 3. Has
Okay.
anybody attended a regional or other committee or board
I did.
or webinar or event since the last study session?
I did.
Okay, tell us about
I'll start with the really quick one. I took a webinar on documentation, and a member of staff here at the city took it, and we happened to run into each other outside the building the next day, and we were like, that was a real CYA. So basically, here's what you need to know about documentation. Document everything. Anybody wants more details, I'll meet with them privately.
There's a document on that.
There were multiple documents on that, believe it or not. It was actually fun to meet other geeks who enjoy documenting. The Kitsap Transit has been fairly normal. They passed their goals for 2026. They tried to put it in the consent agenda without first presenting it to us, and I went rah rah rah. And so then they brought it before us at a study session. Everybody was like, well, the staff at KT knows what the goals should be, so let's just pass this. So that is what we did. KCR, I met with the executive committee because I'm on the executive committee of KCR Friday before last. And was told that because I want to hose that homeless off the sidewalks, that they very strongly urged me to resign multiple times. And then this is not something I can discuss with the KCR board or with KCR staff, but you guys aren't either of those things. And then they said that they would investigate. They had multiple emails that stemmed from the Facebook post you have all seen. They had 5. 2 of them were from constant commenters. 3 out of 5 were from constant commenters. I just received written confirmation of that within the last 24 hours. And I have asked members of the community to write to Tony Ives and urge him to restore me to the KCR board. And what I'm asking you guys now is, can I get your support in a brief letter urging KCR to restore me to the KCR board?
Well, I did want to meet with you. I have a lot of information I want to go over with you. And I talked with our city attorney, and as a city attorney, they can't do anything, but I personally would like to write a letter of support and to point out some things that they may be unaware of. And I'm not sure if other members of council want to review this or not.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely shocked. Isn't this an appointment?
Mhm.
Isn't this a city council appointment
Yes.
to the board of community,
Yes.
Kitsap Community Resources?
Yes.
It does not reflect their brand. It damages their brand.
Leslie Dowg sat on that board for many years as a city council representative.
Yes.
She still sits on that board.
She's the chair this year.
I'm appalled. I'm appalled
Mhm.
at the lack of respect shown to this council with this. You were appointed to that board.
Yes.
Unless there's some egregious conduct that has been reported, I'm appalled at the actions of this nonprofit.
Well, thank you, Denise. That's very pleasant to hear.
Of course.
Thank you. Let's meet Friday if we can.
Okay.
Yeah, so I wanted to wait until I could talk to all of you guys. Because this was quite the shock to me. And I had hoped that last week we would be able to come up here afterwards. It's not something that I can talk to you about around the dais because there's nowhere around. So what I would like to do is, I've written a letter. Nobody here will be shocked that it is much too long. But just detailing some of the many things that I have done in my position as city councilor to advocate for the homeless.
I don't think you have to defend
Shouldn't
yourself.
have to do that.
You don't have to defend yourself. You're appointed, elected official that they have to have, I believe, 1/3 of their board elected officials.
Their community action partnership, it's a requirement.
I understand that, Denise. I understand that, Jane. When I mentioned that the Community Action Agency has to have a tripartite structure and that the Department of Commerce had put them under a corrective action plan at the last meeting that I attended, and that we had only 4 electeds, 4 low income, and I believe 6 community partners, and that this was lopsided. And the reaction was that, well, Commerce had given them until October to fix it, so they would wait until October. So I understand what you are saying, and yet I mentioned that we really need a treasurer, and I recommended a former city councilor as being an excellent, because even if you're a PCO, that counts as being an elected. And they just went, well, we don't need a treasurer. We didn't have one, and in fact, we didn't have a secretary. So I don't know what to do, other than to defend myself.
Okay, well, I think you should meet with me and Denise. Let's
Don't
check
write
our
the letter.
schedules for Friday. Don't send them the letter.
No.
Yeah.
Don't
do anything.
let other people
so-
speak for you.
So this, if I recall correctly, this was a one-off spitballing comment made at a public safety.
Yeah,
meeting.
it was
Yes.
your response to a spitballing comment. Yes.
I mean, by that,
I said I think we should have put up. I might as well say it again.
you don't have to say it.
No.
But okay. So it's not like you built your whole identity around this cruel treatment of like this is so. I'm sorry, but KCR is one to talk. With their reputation in this community, it is off-brand for us, and they are lucky to have you.
Amen.
Oh, Michael, thank you.
Wow, that erased a couple of lines of care.
So, do you want to meet with me and Denise on Friday or Monday to draft something?
Friday, I have an 11:30 to 1, and then a 3:30 to 6.
Can we do it Monday then? Because I've got some stuff I've got
You guys
on
figure
my
it out.
schedule.
We'll do it. Yeah, we'll
You'll figure it out after the
We'll
meeting.
figure it out. Sounds
It
good.
sounds like you have general support.
I am very happy about that because I have had moments where I was not sure. So I'm like kind of, thrilled, and I really appreciate the.
We might not always agree with you, Anna. We might, get frustrated with you, but we will fight to the mat. This,
We know
I'm
where
appalled.
it's coming from and how it's happening.
Yep.
And why.
You're not the only
Well,
person.
They're being bullied, basically.
Yeah.
They're being bullied
Okay.
by bullies.
So
Right.
I will meet with you guys. We will work out a time. We'll
Yeah.
pull it up. The only other thing I wanted to say is that the town hall was on Monday was wildly attended.
Mhm.
Wildly
Nice
attended.
job.
And it was
Wildly
videotaped.
attended. You guys were there.
Oh, it was, sorry. I didn't-
Okay, wildly attended.
Well,
Janice usually is not at a loss for words.
True.
She is.
You can't.
You can't.
Only when we're punchy.
Come on, the Magic 8 Ball said 8, and I still have more things to do.
Okay. So, almost done. So it was supposed to be an open house about solutions to houselessness. But at the end, a couple of individuals were totally insistent, and Joe and Tony and Jill got up and presented their whole plan for the hybrid shelter. What Jill said directly to me was that they had received a lot of pushback on the congregate pallet shelter when they last brought it to council. We push back on $1 million a year. I know that. I'm just repeating to you what was said. It apparently was being Facebook streamed. So
It's on Mar1, it's on the conduit. If anybody wants to look on YouTube and see
So
that.
is this,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
and I will talk about the rest of it during my council report. I just wanted to contribute that for the housing ad hoc. Okay, all done. Thank you. So
Thank
does
you.
anybody have any brief? Go
Brief.
to the order.
My brief go to the order. The time has come, Councillor Coughlin predicted there were 6 or 7 green scooters over by the old Eagles building.
Old Eagles buildings.
You mean the
Yes.
line?
I know,
The
the
lime
lime scooters are here.
They're here, Michael?
I haven't heard or seen them.
Wow.
I
It's
saw
possible that
them.
People brought them over.
That's
from
what probably
Seattle.
happened.
Yeah.
And so I
Did they
just
do
wanted
that?
to, it's very brief, just wanted to, we're gonna put it back on the radar in case we do need to come up with a policy, but the day has
remember that.
come.
Yeah,
okay,
it's
they
coming.
probably came over off the ferry
Did
and
they
then
have-
they all parked them there.
They have litter bags on?
Nope,
Well, okay.
that's it.
Okay, go Jen. Okay, a reminder, the city's lobbyist is going to be here providing
Ooh.
information update at our March 25th study session. If you have specific questions for him, please send them to our legislative office manager by the end of next week. We also have several budget-related items scheduled, so it will likely be a longer meeting. Reminder, please be sure to keep a hold on your calendars for the photo shoot at the end of the month. The photographer is currently working through the logistics based on the feedback received to date. At this point, it appears time blocks will likely be 9 to 11 and late afternoon. The anticipated schedule is districts 4, 5, 6, and 7, on the 30th, and the group photo along with districts 1, 2, and 3 on the 31st. We'll finalize the schedule about a week in advance, taking into account what the weather is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Reminder, the city council will be walking in the Saturday St. Patrick's Day parade. Please refer to the details. So if you're gonna come down and park in the parking garage underneath, you need to go south on Washington, and then there's gonna be people directing you to go against the one-way on Fifth, so you'll be able to park in the garage. You might not be able to leave when you want to leave.
Okay.
And check-in window is 1 to 1:30. Parade starts at 2 o'clock. And
We are right behind the mayor.
yeah, we're number
Like,
4. You're at the end.
Pride's last, so I can probably do both.
Oh, yay!
Yeah.
Oh, guess what? I think I looped my son into coming.
Oh, good, good.
All right.
good.
Okay, so I think, there's a couple weird committees that you guys are assigned to that I don't know what happened.
Oh.
You are not on the historic preservation committee, which you got assigned to, and I got assigned to.
Aware of this.
I know, well, and what it really is,
I think it's because Jeff was on it.
Jeff was on it.
Oh.
So,
Yeah.
so Michael, what that was supposed to be was, remember you were gonna look into what we could do to the vacant old buildings downtown.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it started. The historic one was, how can we give tax write-offs to people who own old buildings, which I was not a fan of. So that kind of ended that one.
We didn't like
James,
committee
you're
usually
wasn't at that.
solve
That-
the light problem, Michael. Michael's logic is sound.
Okay,
That's-
is there anything else?
No, I mean, you did great.
Okay, the next council meeting will be Wednesday, March 18th, starting at 5:30 PM in the first floor meeting chambers of the Norm Dix Building. Public is invited to attend in person or remotely. The meeting is adjourned.